Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Yeah, good evening, James. Looking forward to this one. RedBull Ring, it's a good track, isn't it, to go racing. It's got some good overtaking opportunities that we haven't necessarily had the last couple of weeks, so this should be an absolute cracker. Yeah, it's one of those ones. People do a lot of running around here, don't they? It's one of the more popular circuits that we go to in iRacing, and for good reason. It provides some great racing in pretty much any machinery. You know, up towards turn 3 at the hairpin, down towards turn 4 at less of a hairpin, but still a heavy braking zone, and even up at turn 1 as well. The slower the car, the better the racing generally. But anything you're in here at the RedBull Ring, you can go pretty well side by side around. So I think a lot of these guys, you're right, will be feeling confident because they run around here so much. And GT3s are made for this kind of circuit, GT4s as well. And with the mix of the GT3s and the GT4s being slightly easier tonight with the wideness of the circuit, I think it's going to be one that a lot of drivers come into with quite a lot of ambition, I reckon. Is it? Okay, so, well, if no one can hear James, that's fine. I'll keep waffling on and imagine that I am talking to a wall. Yeah, this should be a good race. I mean, we've had a couple of good rounds coming into this. Championship pictures are starting to take effect, but it's only in round 3. You know, this is the kind of stage of the season where a lot of the drivers are placing themselves into where they really want to be fighting in terms of for championship positions. A couple of drivers really stealing a march. We'll get onto those standings in just a couple of minutes' time before we get into the qualifying session for this evening. But definitely a really exciting prospect for a lot of drivers at a circuit that they will know very well. Of course, this will be the last 60-minute race before our first 90-minute race of the season in a couple of weeks' time at Zandvoort. And then, of course, we'll move on to some exciting tracks in Italy, which is going to be really exciting. Of course, we'll be racing at Imola. Then we go to Le Mans, all things going well, the 1st of June. I wonder why that'll be then. I think we can all work it out. The Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia, Portimao, Spa and Silverstone. It really is a good calendar that we have to look forward to, but the sprinkling of 60, 90-minute races that are coming up are going to create a little bit more, I think, drama for the drivers and a little bit more to have to think about going into these races. Pit stops at that point will be critical and the windows may be quite short, but they're all going to have to be thinking about that. I don't know if you've
I have
working, James. I don't want to just keep cool. I don't want to just keep talking. If you were good.
Yeah, no, I didn't know when the right moment was to jump in, Dora. So yeah, hopefully that you can hear me now. If you could let me know, Will, in the chat, that would be appreciated. But yeah, I think I know what's caused that. So yeah, technical gremlins are us every week. Same thing, different gremlins. But anyway, we're back with you. So yeah, to everybody that's joining us, a very warm welcome. Good evening. European GT Championship round 3 from Austria. So you missed my first bit of introduction. But Dara has quite nicely kind of segued us in to the next round. So we've been through the calendar, Dara, and I think this is kind of the last round, I think, before things get a little bit more serious next week at Zandvoort. I think Zandvoort is going to be a real interesting one for us because it's a track that I know certainly a lot of the Dutch drivers enjoy racing round. But also those sweeping corners and, first one at 90 minutes, it's not the regular track that people run on kind of week in, week out. So I think that's going to throw up some real interesting things for us. Then we move on to Imola, then Le Mans for the second of the 3 90-minute rounds, Catalonia, Portimao for the final 90-minute race, and then the penultimate round at Spa, where I do believe we've got the Glass Tech Racing boys actually joining us in the chat from Spa. So I hope you're all having a great weekend, guys, and sorry that you're not here on track tonight, but I know there's going to be some GT4 drivers absolutely loving the fact that that William Humphrey's not going to be here, Dora. So yeah, they're going to make hay while the sun shines in Spa for the Glasstec team, and then we finish round 10 at Silverstone. So we're going to move quickly through because we are running a little bit behind tonight. So Red Bull Ring, a track, we've spoke a little bit about the track. All drivers are kind of feeling a bit confident because they know the track. It's quite a short lap as well, Dara, isn't it? Not too long. I think the racing's going to be tight. I don't think it's going to be too long before we start seeing those multi-class overtakes.
No, and you're right, it's not the longest circuit, which means we are likely to see more of those multi-class overtakes than we'd otherwise see at maybe a track like Spa that we will get to later on in the season. But yeah, like we were talking about, overtaking opportunities galore around here. Turn 1, turn 3, turn 4. If you're brave into turn 9 as well, can be a good chance. So I think we'll probably see side-by-side action through every single corner at some point over the course of the race, and probably in the first 5-10 minutes as well. It really is a circuit made for racing. And that's why we're here, really, isn't it? It's what we love to see.
It is. And this, as you know, this has started to become one of my favourite moments of the fortnight, which is the Rob Mackay track guide. So I did have a little message from a little friend of mine, a guy called Brett Mackay. So a big shout out to Brett Mackay, who told me that Rob doesn't like motorbikes. So for this week's track guide, we decided to ask our sponsor, Kame, if they would provide us a loan of their Supersport bike from 2010 that was ridden by Billy McConnell in the British Supersport Championships. And Brett said, yeah, he said, you know, Rob Mackay doesn't really like motorbikes, so let's stick him on one. So Rob has kindly volunteered this week for his Drive It Like You've Hired It series to do it on the Supersport bike. So I'll let you talk us through, Dara, what is Rob Mackay's first time on a Supersport bike?
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, isn't it, to be on a Supersport bike for the first time? Wouldn't want to be me. Rob, of course, being the man to do it. Nice weather as well down in Austria this week. You know, Easter break as well. Got down there on the bank holiday weekend. Nice time to do it. You know, don't have to take the days off work. Works absolutely beautifully. But this is a great circuit and really picturesque as well. You can get a good sense of how much elevation there is on this circuit from about here as you're running towards turn 2. Of course, there is that new little chicane that they've added into MotoGP that Rob's bravely not using, going on the full layout up towards turn number 3, and you can just see how much the elevation changes up towards this tight right-hander. Actually, if memory serves, there was a massive crash in 2020 there in the motorbike. I think someone nearly got wiped out. But anyway, none of the same problems for Rob. He's hired the bike. He is absolutely throttling it down there. 200 Ks. Someone doesn't like a motorbike, James. That's quite fast down in towards turn 4.
Yeah,
it is a downhill here. Difficult to really judge the braking zone. And the track can camber a little bit from the inside to the outside, so it's slightly difficult to run it around the outside, but we see drivers try time and time again, and it often works through there. Turn 5 is a nice smooth run through the right-hander. Then you get into this left-hander at turn 6, and it's just keeping that minimum speed up all the way through the end of the second sector. Flicks up here before turn 7 and 8. A nice flowing sequence of corners again through the left. Keep it tight because you don't want to drift too far wide. It will compromise your line coming in towards this turn 8. You can see that curve, very bouncy, that they've added in recent years to try and deter you from going too far wide. And then all you've got to do is worry about the final couple of corners. Very high speed. You're really running the limit here of what you can do, of course, with the concrete rather than the grass on the outside of the corner. Drivers want to push as far as they can and really do run the risk of invalidating a lap time. Picking up an off track, but through the final corner, dip it through, little bit of a dive through the final corner, and you can really feel it in the car, and then you run up across the line once again. I think we might get another lap with Rob, but it just goes to show that this really is a great circuit, and the elevation changes are significant here. You'd expect that for an Alpine circuit.
Yeah, well, Rob did ask us before this hot lap if he could do a bit of a sponsor plug for some new headphones. Or some new earplugs that he's got a sponsorship deal with, as he just passes Andrew Fellows there on the left-hand side. Andrew also went down for the day with him. Anything for a freebie is Andrew Fellows. And so we said, no, Rob, come on, this is not really the right thing to do, is to use your hot lap series as a bit of a sponsor plug. But as you can see there, just right on cue, Rob decides to just drop his earplugs, the brand of his earplugs in. So, I mean, that kind of tells you what sort of what a marketing genius that we're actually dealing with here with Rob Mackay and his Hot Lap series. So yeah, if you want a number one earplug, then follow the link that's on screen now, Dara.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, there it is. Quickly, get it down. Pause the stream before it disappears again. It's the number one earplug. None of these number twos for Rob Mackay. Yeah, really doing his best. I mean, I hope he's getting paid for that kind of promo, because it really is exemplary. But he's going to come around the final couple of corners again. Pit entry here is a little bit difficult, worth noting as well. You can see it going off to the right-hand side. You have to keep a very tight line through the penultimate corner and take a much slower run through, which does mean that there is a big chance that we could see a couple of drivers having a little bit of miscommunication running into the back, which we will try to avoid, but it's always a risk that you run here at the Red Bull Ring, and we're going to have to think about that at some point. Looks great, doesn't he, Rob? What a photo.
Yeah, thanks for that, Rob. Very, very kind of you. So, as we go back into the driver standings, let's have a quick look first at the GT3 driver standings, as they've looked to my left and the guys have just got quali underway, so we'll be moving through quite quickly. We're 2 rounds in. Anton Kalo is leading with those 2 wins for the first 2 rounds on 100 points. Very unfortunate for Jason Baxter at that first round at the Sachsenring, unfortunately, with that kind of PC crash. That didn't help him, but we got Matt Hoyland, who came through in P2. He's actually P2 in the championship for DXT Motorsports. And then we got Gianni Tehar having a great run out last time at the Hungaroring. So he's in third on 67 points for the Quad Dash Racing team. We got Will Soper for Axis Conehead in 4th, followed by Joe Glass for Glass Tech Racing in 5th. And then Jason Baxter bringing up the top 6 in his Acura for Rage Against the Game Esports Ruby. So long team name there. Jason on 45 points. He's followed by Ben Bennyworth for the Quartermass Motorsport Bravo team in his Porsche on 38 points. Arumas Zelinskas, so we all know Arumas has got pace in the SRB Motorsports by Lint Vega team. Arumas will be disappointed with that first run out in the first round, so he'll be looking to make that up tonight. We got Clyde Veyer in P9 for Rage Against the Game Esports Diamond. And then rounding out the top 10, we got Joe Sparrow for JSD Racing in his McLaren, followed by Christian Chard and Robin Aston. So that's the GT3 Drivers' Championships. Dara, do you want to take it away with the GT4?
Yeah, looks like it's going to be... well, it has been a good start of the season for William Humphrey. Won't necessarily hold on to that, though, with him, of course, not being here this evening. Marius Hippens had a good start to the season as well, with a couple of P2s. We've spoken to him last time out, and he was pretty pleased to be best of the rest. Even Donnelly having a good start to the season as well, and I think kids and adults loving his start to the season in that Haribo liveried entry. Pedro Luis da Silva, the leading BMW, is in 4th, just ahead of Martin Kenyon. Those two are tied on points. Of course, Pedro getting that on countback, at least for the time being. Tristan Engelstadt and Bobby Moss are in 6th and in 7th, with Linus Petkovicius, Evan Main and Niels Kuderns are the top 10. Craig Hewlett, Malcolm Coates, 2 drivers looking to try and bounce themselves in towards the top 10 of the standings tonight, and you'd be hard-pressed to say that they won't have a good chance. But lots of drivers involved in the mix, of course, early in the season, and with William Humphrey not here, very open tonight, James.
It is. And now we're going to have a quick look at the teams' championship standings. So this is where I think most of the focus is, because this is where the prize money kicks in. So personalised trophies from Kame for the first 10 drivers in each of the drivers' championships. And then we've now got the teams' championships, where there is cash prizes available up to 10th, but the kind of big money starts from sort of 6th and 5th onwards, upwards. So leading the way, we've got the Glass Tech Racing team of Joe Glass, William Humphrey on 148 points, followed by Quad Dash Racing in 2nd place with Gianni Tehar and Tristan Engelstad. So they'll be looking to close that gap down tonight, with both Joe Glass and William Humphrey not racing and no reserve driver racing. So they look like that's going to make things interesting when they get back, shall we say. 3rd place, we've got MK Sim Sport. So Anton Kalo, as we've said, had a great start to the season. Jelle Damstra just needs to start putting in those performances to back up his teammate, and I think they'll be right up there as well. In 4th place, we've got Jaden Scotton and Marius Hibmer for Flatline Racing Green on 98 points. And rounding out the top 5, where the personalised teams trophies finished, we've got Rage Against the Games, Esports, Ruby, which is Jason Baxter, and Evan Main. So they're followed up by Rumas Zelinskas with Linus Petkavicius in the SRB Motorsports. We've then got Access Conehead in 7th, also on 70 points. So them two teams are tying at the moment. We've got Andrew Fellows and Pedro Luis da Silva in Flatline Racing on 65 points. So only 5 points behind those. HSR Motorsport, Christian Chard and Craig Hewlett. We've got a new team tonight of Yanis Albert and Bobby Moss. So Yanis is teaming up with Bobby in the Minecraft racing team. So you'll see their liveries tonight. We've then got the Random Racers and Quad Dash LGR rounding out that top 12. So that's the pro teams, where we've got a combined I rating greater than 4,400. And I'll let you take it away with the Pro-Am teams, Dara.
Yeah, it's been a good start, hasn't it, for Dexterous Motorsports with Matt Hoyland and Martin Kenyon having that good start. 132 points. They've got a decent margin back to JSD. Joe Sparrow and Stephen Donnelly, of course. Donnelly going along well. Joe Sparrow looking to pick up a few more points, I'm sure. But both of those drivers, I'm sure, will be pleased to be inside the top 2 in the championship at this stage of the season. And we've also got Rage Against the Game Esports Diamond inside the top 3 as well. But they're quite a ways back, and they lead a very congested field. Cam 8, GP2, Porsches, Jim Fox and John Lubrook are in 4th, but they're only a point ahead of the Quartermass Bravo team of Benioeth and Chambers. And again, close with the likes of Maxis Simsport and Vulcan Fasteners in 6th and in 7th. We've got the Moonshiners Racing Club, Michelin and LS Racing 002. They're in the top 10. But again, you can see the likes of Sima GP2, LS Racing 001, the Quartermass Motorsport with Chellen Hunt, Flatline Racing Blue and the Flatline Racing Pink, who are new to the series as well. So many teams in there, that a lot of drivers without too many points. So many opportunities for a lot of these Pro-Am teams to pick themselves up the championship this evening, and it'll be a good chance for them to get going in qualifying, which is where I think a lot of them will be targeting an early start and a good banker to get themselves into this race.
They sure will. And we've got 11 minutes left to go, so we'll move to qualifying in just a moment. But before we do, just wanted to say a big thank you to our series sponsors. So we've got Trophy AI and VRS. I think everybody knows who they are. Big thank you to both of you for the support of the series. Massive thank you to Came, not only for the loan of the Supersport bike for Rob Mackay's Hot Lap, but also for the personalised trophies for the series, and also GP2 Group. And finally, last but by no means least, we've got the Motorsport UK esports division that recommended ESR as a recommended community, which we are very, very grateful for. And we try to uphold the race with respect values that seem to make so much sense to us, and a good set of values to run the league by. So yeah, thank you to you all. And without further ado, we will move to some of the qualifying, Dara, and we will see where it is that people have started putting those laps in. Is that coming through? Can you see everything nice and clean?
It is, yes. It looks absolutely great. Circuit and the times as well, because 29.2 is a pretty fast lap time for Yanis Albert to get in very early in the session. A few tenths ahead of Gianni Teja, and you can tell how quick that is from Yanis, because he's got that 3/10 gap back to Gianni, and then between Gianni and Tonkelo, it's only about a tenth of a second. So really impressive to see Yanis jump out in that manner. Marius Hibner currently leading the way in the GT4s, but again, early stages. I know you'll know this, and you can speak about this, James, but getting a lap time in really early can just really settle the confidence, can't it?
If you get one in early, Dora. I mean, I know you asked me this. I'm sure that someone's put you up to this. You seem to ask me this every week, and I seem to tell you exactly the same thing. Is that I always seem to fluff my first couple of laps. But yeah, it does make a massive difference. On the very rare occasion that I've managed to get a reasonable first lap in, and you do feel a bit more confident and a bit more comfortable, and then you can build on that confidence and try and get your delta down and improve on it. If you do mess up, and I can speak from experience, then it just puts extra pressure on. I think a lot of drivers actually start to overdrive the car a little bit. So we'll have to see kind of where they pan out. I can see that Daniel Poole has joined us. He hadn't joined the session earlier. So while you talk us through this next bit, Dara, I'm going to try to pop Daniel in the correct class, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's all good. We have a lot of action out on the circuit to keep us entertained. I think Nils Kula will be one of the drivers to settle that time in the not too distant future. If anybody also sees that there's a possibility of a fantastic driver called Series Admin, James Bostock is just trying to show the kids how it's done, both up in the commentary booth and down on the circuit, but he's just doing his best to multitask. We are seeing a lot of lap times come in now. Niels Kuller not improving that time around. I don't believe he's... Oh, actually, he wasn't improving, but he didn't improve on his position. Stays down in P13. Not exactly where I think he would find himself comfortable in being. Anton Kaler, though, who we're following on with, is coming into the final couple of corners. Good place to make a little bit more lap time. Easy place to lose the lap time entirely. And got to be careful as you drift wide around the final corner. iRacing just give you a little bit of leeway as you make your way through, but you don't want to run it too close. Anton not improving. 4,000 slower on that lap. 2 lap times good enough for P5 in the end, or at least at this stage of the session. But it's just not quite enough. About 4 tenths off of what Yanis has done towards the start of this session, and still with a few lap times to come in. The likes of Tom Dart jumping up the order. There's Series Admin in the bottom left. Let's see if either one of the Series Admin brothers, it seems, could be twins, can jump up the order. But we've still got the likes of Ludbrook to set a lap time. Next up, we're looking at Venus Petkovicius. Is he going to jump up the time page? I'm not too sure. No, not an improvement there. 37.6 is about a tenth slower than what he's already done, James.
Yes. So Joe Glass will be thinking, why is there Series Admin in there? So just to let, for those of you know that are technical critical, of course, for some reason tonight we could not spectate the lobby, so we had to join as a driver. So yeah, we're gonna have some random guy called Series Admin in there all night. So just ignore him. Imagine he's not there, which is what most people do most of the time. It looks like we've managed to put Daniel in the right class now, so that's good. Daniel Poole currently down in 19th place. So Daniel's just jumped in with Kalle Leskinen. Kalle Leskinen is currently in 6th place, so they have entered the series Flatline Racing Pink. So Kalle has joined up with Andrew Fellows and his crew. So that's going to be interesting to see how they get on this evening. We got Liam Fraser, who's reserving for Dean Sheesby. I think Dean is away on holiday at the moment. So hope you're having a great time, Dean, and we look forward to seeing you back on track. This will be Liam Fraser's last reserve outing for the Moonshiners Racing Club, because this is his 2nd run, and in the series the reserves are only allowed to run 2 races. So it'll be interesting to see how Liam gets on tonight. We've lost the grouped tower for some reason as well. So everything that could go wrong tonight is going wrong. So, as we say, if Rob Mackay, the Superbike rider, is also the same. So Rob couldn't. That's why there's 2 of us, Dara. We're not brothers. That's why there's 2 of us. That Rob also couldn't spectate as well. So that's the reason why we look like brothers, but we're not. So there you go. That gives you the reason why.
It is quite funny, though, to see John Ludbrook and then 2 Series Admins down there at the bottom. Adds a real bit of character to the series, isn't it? The fact that things do go wrong, but they can be fixed, even if it does mean that we can get Series Admin at the bottom of the screen. Liam Fraser, though, he's improving at the moment through the opening couple of sectors in the, as he reserves. 31.1 is his fastest time of the session so far. He'll be looking to jump up the order a little bit. He's a couple of seconds off the pace of Yanis Hilbert at the moment. Looking like he's got a tidy line through 9, though. Maybe just a little less speed than he could have carried, but he's carrying everything he can through turn 10 whilst keeping at least a couple of tyres on the tarmac. Is this going to improve him up the time page at all? Looks like it could do. Looks like an improved time. It will indeed. 30.4. Maybe an 8/10 improvement. That'll put him up into P13, but I think he'll still like to find a little bit of time. A 10th even would gain him 3 or 4 spots.
Yeah, Rumus Zelinskas is now on a lap. I don't know whether Rumus is on an in-lap or not, as the timing tower just miraculously from nowhere kind of jumps into action and decides of its own free will to give us the group session. So yeah, Rumus is coming across the line now. Is he going to improve on where he was? It is a 29.9. So that puts him up into P6. So he will be absolutely delighted with that. Another driver to mention, as we've still got Liam Fraser, looks like he's on another outlap. Another driver to mention is that we've had 2 driver changes this week. So Robin Noel Brown has demoted himself to reserve because of real-life commitments, couldn't make the series. So Jim Fox has stepped in and taken his permanent place for Cam A GP2 Porsche. So Jim he runs with us in the GT3 series on a Thursday, and Jim's put his Porsche into P8. So I know for a fact that Jim will be really, really pleased with that. And then the second driver change was the driver that's joining Denzel Clarkson in the Quad Dash LGR team, which is Ryan Stringer. So Ryan is currently running P28 overall. It looks like the timing tower is definitely playing games. So I can't put that into the group session for some group classification for some reason. So yeah, just the week that we solved the technical gremlins on the streaming side, it looks like we've got overlay gremlins on the other side, but I'm sure that we'll manage. We've got Joe telling us that iRacing and Dara could do with a bump up in terms of volume, so let's just do that now. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, it's not, I need to bump up probably in terms of height as well. I'm not the tallest person, so if I could get a stool, that'd be ideal and help me see over the over the Armco and what's actually going on the circuit. Liam Fraser still circling at the moment. 30.4 is his fastest time. Pretty much everybody else is in the pit lane. They've completed all the laps that they can. Yannis Hilbert, though, right at the top of the sheets, really impressive to get him, or for him to be that far clear of everybody else. 29.2. Very fast lap time. I've only got about, less than 10 drivers within a full second of him, just to put into perspective how good that lap time really is. And with Liam Fraser coming into the pit lane, I think that's pretty much qualifying over, James. Just have to wait for that timer to tick all the way down. John LeBrook-Sally not setting that lap time. Will start right at the back of the field, but at least he's not a GT3 having to start with among all of those GT4s. So at least that is a silver lining. Andrew Fellows, though, maybe he got back a little bit late from his trip, his freebie to Austria, because he's a little bit off the back of the pace in the GT3s.
He is, yeah. And down there in P17 in the GT3s, I have just seen in the Discord that John Ludbrook isn't going to be racing tonight. I think he came in to the lobby a little bit earlier and then has unfortunately had to leave. So hope all is well, John, and no problem at all. That means that we won't be seeing John. So that's another car that we're going to have to wait for, Dara, when we waited to grid up. It looks like the overlay has also decided to play silly things as well on us tonight, which I've got absolutely no reason why. So we'll try and bear with it. We will reload the overlay in the meantime to see if we can then get the grid up when this qualifying session comes to an end.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting race as well. And I think with the fact that this is a series where we just get the one race on an evening, it puts a lot more importance on qualifying than we do see, on a Thursday night in the GT3 series, and that we have seen on a Monday night in the GT4 TCR series of late. So, and of course in the Danley Porsche Cup series. So, I think there's a lot to be said about how important qualifying can be in this championship overall, and those that can perform well in qualifying may see a bit of a bump in their overall results because of the fact that they can rely on that just a little bit more. No reverse grid to speak of to worry anybody realistically, in terms of having to, being able to perform well in qualifying, perform well in an opening race, and then get pushed back through the middle of the pack. If you can get to the front and perform early on, then it's going to benefit you in a series like this. 90 minutes, of course, will come up for the first time in 2 weeks' time. But for now, it's just that 1 hour race and that wide pit window, because, of course, when we get to that 90-minute encounter, it's going to be a bit of a wider pit, a narrower pit window, because of the fact drivers don't want to have to pit twice, and so how far they can go on a second stint will then be dependent on where they can be in terms of the starting positions. But talking about starting positions, James, we've got the grid. Do you want me to go through this, or
absolutely, Dara? Yeah, I'll keep trying to work out why it's glitching. It seems that we're definitely unfortunate to have a lobby that wouldn't let us spectate. And it's coincidence that the live timing is also playing up as well. So, and we will bear with it. and we will try and work our way through. So if you can talk us through the grid, that would be great.
Absolutely right. Well, we do have a really exciting looking front row. Yannis Hilbert, the German, just ahead of the Dutchman Gianni Terhaar. Of course, we've been to Germany so far in ESR's European GT Championship, and we're yet to go to the Netherlands. We're also yet to go to the UK with Will Soper and Jason Baxter repping Team GP in 3rd and 4th on row number 2. Anton Kalo, the first of the Finnish drivers, lines up 5th, and he's just ahead of the Baltic Lithuanian Aurimas Zilinskas, who will look to move forward from there. Row 4 made up of Kalle Leskinen and Jim Fox for that Kame GP2 team, and the final driver within a second of that overall pole time is Andre Muntian. The Romanian will line up in 9th. He's just ahead of Ben Bennyworth, one of the quartermass drivers, who will start in 10th, ahead of row 6 of Joe Sparrow and Jaden Scott. And Liam Fraser, the reserve driver for the Moonshiners Racing Club, will line up in P13, ahead of the second German of Lewis Plath for LS Racing 001. He'll line up still inside that top 15 and in a good position. Tom Dart and Matt Hoyland make up row number 8 ahead of Andrew Fellows in 17th, the final of the GT3s, supposedly ahead of the series admin, but I do believe that that could be Bobby. It's not going to be Bobby Moss. In fact, forget that there's anybody even there. Realistically, Bobby Moss is the leader in the GT4s ahead of Marius Hipper. That makes up the first row for them, and the Danish driver will be looking to try and get a bit of a march into turn 1. The Swede of Tristan Engelstad is ahead of the Portuguese Pedro Luis da Silva, another driver going well in the championship. Let's see where he can go from P4 in the GT4 grid. Linus Petkovicius and Stephen Donnelly make up row 3 in that class, ahead of Chris Jennings and Martin Kenyon, an all-British 4th row in class. Evan Main and Callum Morrow round out the opening 10 drivers in the slower GT4 car. Ryan Stringer is just ahead of Malcolm Coates, the American, on row number 6, with Niels Kula, the Latvian, ahead of Rob Gregg. They're not too far ahead of the likes of Nine Meyer and Simon Hunt, the Swiss driver. The only Swiss driver in the grid will start from P33. He's just ahead in terms of the rows, ahead of Scott Kostrick, who's alongside Ian Chambers, as they make up 35th and 36th in the overall race order. Daniel Paul Paiva, the Brazilian, in 37th and 38th, ahead of another series admin, and who doesn't seem like he'll be making the start. But that is where the grid will round out. We've got I think 37 hungry drivers ready to get going in this race, and there's so much to decide, and championship pictures still to really kind of assess in the early stage of the season, isn't there, James?
Yes, Dara. Yes, it's going to be. I think this is going to be. I think they're going to need a bit of patience tonight because they know this track well. I think we all, any sim racing drivers, know where the overtaking points are. What you don't want to do is get caught up in a first lap incident and then kind of ruin your chances. So I think patience is going to come into everybody's minds tonight at first, and then I think they'll start to kind of work their way into the race, let the race come to them. And of course we've got the pit stop to contend with, so everybody's going to have to work out when that pit stop is going to come, whether they're going to go for the overcut, whether they're going to go for the undercut. No safety cars in this series, of course, so yeah, should be exciting. And I know the GT4 drivers are going to be absolutely buzzing because with William not here, and as we know, William's an absolute fantastic driver, but with William not here, it's a real opportunity for some of these GT4 drivers to make a name for themselves. Marius Ibner, Bobby Moss, Tristan Engelstad, Pedro Luis da Silva, Stephen Donnelly, bit of a dark horse. Stephen could come through and take the victory. Yeah, I think it's anyone's race in the GT4s, and then in the GT3s, who knows? Yannis Albert's back in the Minecraft racing team. You know, Will Soper, Anton Kalo. Who knows, Dora? Anybody's. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting hour's worth of racing, and we're just about to see who's going to get the best launch. Yannis Hilbert, of course, in that new Minecraft racing team livery, is going to take us away from pole position. 60 minutes on the clock, and as he makes his way out of the final corner, it's a game of waiting and guessing when he's about to jump. Gianni Terhaar could be the first driver trying to make that guess as soon as he possibly can, but they're approaching the line, which means we're about to get racing. 1 hour on the clock here at RedBull Ring is go, and Yannis Hilbert gets a good launch off of the line. Will Soper just in behind, trying to get to the inside of Gianni Terhaar as they want towards the opening turn. Gianni Terhaar has an outside line, Soper looking for the inside run, but they are pretty much 2 by 2. Drivers drifting wide as they always do through the opening turn, enables those on the inside line to gain a position. forward to Anton Taylor, the Finnish driver, looking to try and get his way up past Jason Baxter up towards turn number 3 to the outside line for the MK Filmsport driver. Let's see if he can hook it there, but instead Jason Baxter's going to the inside of Will Soper, and in the end I think he's going to get that, well, he's actually not going to get that one done. Bobby must have a good start as well in the GT4s, but frantic as we'd expect here at the RedBull Ring.
It certainly is, it certainly is. We just wanted to check in with the GT4s. They've had a clean start. So it looks like Bobby Moss, as that new livery is absolutely taking it by storm. So we'll jump back on with the GT3. So Yannis Albert has pulled a gap of what looks to be almost a second hour on Gianni Terhar. So, yeah, Yannis is not hanging about at all. Gianni Terhar in second with Will Soper, Jason Baxter and Anton Kalo behind. And I seem to remember last time that Anton Kalo was saying that he deliberately was kind of fuel saving and trying to run it long and then put the pressure on in the second half of the race. So I wonder if Anton is actually going to be working on that same strategy tonight and see how it's going to play out.
Would be surprised. Anton, a good start to the season for him in terms of the points tally. Let's see if he can put that up tonight. I think getting through and getting back on the show will be really helpful for him to keep touch, I think, with the likes of Gianni Terhar and Yannis Albert. What a start it is for Yannis Albert. Over a second already. He's almost out of frame looking at the rest of the trainers. They run down into his turn 1 for the second time in this race. The first time in single file. Zelinskas is another driver who we'd expect to be looking to be up there. Kalle Metzinen as well. Really performing well on a Thursday night here at ESR in a GT3. So he'll be looking to improve up the order as well. Really exciting front of the field in the GT3s, it's fair to say. I think we're going to see them running quite close together for a long time in this race. A similar thing can be said in the GT4s because, of course, without William Humphrey here, who's been so dominant in that car in the last few months, in all forms of GT4 racing in ESR, to have Bobby Moss, Marius Hipper and Tristan Engelstad at the front really goes to show that it's going to be an interesting battle. But the Minecraft racing team, it's not a bad start, is it?
It's a great start. It's a great start, and I'm sure I just saw a bit of an overtaking opportunity there from Martin Kenyon, who was on the inside of Linus Petkovicius. So as we jump on board with Martin, has he got the job done? No, he hasn't got the job done. I think that was a bit of a braking move to the inside. We just missed that. We've not caught Martin too much on stream in the first couple of rounds, so we'll be sure to keep an eye out on Martin tonight and see how he progresses through. So currently running in P7. Martin teams up with Matt Hoyland in the DXT Motorsports team. So they are running the Pro-Am Team Championship. So I don't think Martin will feel too much pressure. P7, that looks like a really, really good result. He's got Chris Jennings just running behind him, half a second behind him. So I think we'll stay on board with Martin. And I've got a sneaky feeling, Dara, that Martin is going to have a look into turn 1. Is he going to tee up this move as he looks to go wide, get a good run, downshifts, power down? Oh, he's probably not got the run on that Mercedes. Trying to use the slipstream now. It's going to now be into turn 3.
We'll see if he can do it. Troubles for Daniel Poole. I was going to say Tristan Engelstad gone fastest as well, but those two going well in the GT4s. Is the run good enough for Martin Kenyon? On Linus Petkovicius is definitely good enough to have any kind of go up towards turn 3. Linus being 2 seconds behind the car in front, not having that benefit of the slipstream in the same way that Martin has as they run up the hill. Who's going to get the inside line? Looks like Martin Kenyon's been allowed to find the inside line. Petkovicius not defending it too harshly, and as they make their way through turn 3, maybe a little bit of contact, if not just a bit of a rear slide for Martin, means that Petkovicius will hold on to the spot. Now Chris Jennings is going to get himself involved as well, and don't count out Evan Main in that BMW either as they work their way down the hill, and from attack all of a sudden Kenyon has to defend turn 4, do that nice and smartly, and in the end they go single file once again. I think it's fair to say drivers not wanting to push too hard in the early few minutes of this race.
No, as we jump back on board with the GT3s, so we've got Yannis Albert, who has pulled out. I'm having to check that my glasses are telling me the right figure. So Yannis Albert has pulled out 2.7 seconds of a lead on Gianni Terhar. So he's definitely making hay while the sun shines, and the Glass Tech boys are over in Spa. So we've got Gianni Terhar, who is kind of P2, sort of best of the rest. I mean, Yannis is just away with it. So yeah, fair play to Yannis coming in and taking it by storm. And now we've got Gianni Terhar, Will Soper. Will's having a great run as well. in this round 3. So obviously likes this circuit. Oh, as he looks a little bit late there, does Will. And Will's got Jason Baxter right behind him and Anton Kalo right behind them. And Kalle Leskinen in his opening race for Flatline Racing Pink. So this was a bit of a merger of a team from the Pink team that Kalle runs in the GT3 series, and Calais teamed up with Daniel Poole and Andrew Fellows he's always recruiting, is Andrew Fellows, so he's taken him into the Flatline team, and yeah, Flatline Racing Pink, and he's currently running P7, so he will be pleased with that in his opening race. Then we've got Jim Fox for Camé GP2 Porsche, replacing Robin O'Brien. As Jim goes quite wide there, that will be an off track. So Jim's running P8, and he's got Ben Bennyworth just behind him, and behind Ben Bennyworth we've got Joe Sparrow. So Joe Sparrow's probably not showing the pace that we're used to seeing from Joe. Maybe it's a bit of a marathon rather than a sprint for Joe, but currently inside the top 10. I would think that Joe would be looking to get a few more places up than that, especially with having a few less drivers on track tonight. We've then got Jaden Scotton, Andre Muntien, and then another surprise for us a little bit, Dara, is Matt Hoyland down in P13. So I think Matt was late to join the session. So yeah, I think Matt's probably going to have to let this race come to him and see how he works his way through, Dara. From, I mean, Matt was P2, wasn't he, in Sachsenring? So to be down in P13, imagine he'd be a bit disappointed with that start.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think he'd be looking for a little bit more. Diamantino would be the first name to take off the list in terms of getting back up towards the front of the field. But with every passing lap, of course, the ever stretching of the field means that he's getting further and further away from what you perceive to be his goal by the end of this race. Kind of Morrow, I think, is meant to move past Martin Kenyon towards the back end of the top 10 in the GT4s, and Kenyon heading in the wrong direction after looking like he was about to pick up P6. Boylan going wide as well. Morrow getting through on Main as well. I don't know what's happening down there, but he looks like he's on an absolute rampage. Main getting back through again, but they're all running through turn 4. That's what it is. Evan Main looking like he's going to be able to maybe keep himself just ahead of Callum Morrow as they work their way towards turn 6, but look how tight this battle is. That's 7 cars you could throw a blanket over from 6th down to 12th. Ryan Stringer at the rear of the field, or sorry, rear of the group, I should say. I mean, look at that, a couple of tenths between each of the cars. This could be an absolute melee for a few laps to come here. The Quad Dash Racing entrant in the 690, getting the popcorn out, just watching what's unfolding in front of him, making sure that he doesn't get involved in the trouble, and picking up the pieces when it almost feels like inevitably it's going to fall apart for these guys as they're on their way in towards the final couple of corners, running a little bit wide again, but you can just see some of these gaps closing and opening into each of these braking zones and acceleration zones. You wouldn't be surprised if you see a move or two at the hairpin.
It looks like Evan Main might be lining up a move on Linus Petkovicius at the moment, so they've just pulled a small gap ahead of Martin Kenyon and the other one. So Evan's got a great run, yeah, thought so, as he goes round the inside of Linus. As we just cut back there, we should see both of them, so he should have the overtake done before he gets to the braking zone. He does move back to the racing line. Is Linus going to send it up the inside? No, he's not. Martin Kenyon's got a bit of action going down a bit further down as well, so he's got the Callum Morrow right behind him, also in the BMW. Chris Jennings has dropped back a little bit because he was running up there with Martin and Linus earlier. So I don't know if Chris Jennings has had a bit of an incident. We'll try and track back through if we get things settled down a little bit and see if we have had any incidents. But yeah, Evan Main is through, and that then sends him on his way. But he is 6.7 seconds behind Stephen Donnelly, who is currently running in P5. So we've not seen much of Stephen. Stephen's 1.3 seconds off the back of Pedro Luis da Silva. So Stephen will be working quite hard, I think, to try and bridge that gap to get up to the back of these guys, just to get the draft and stay with them. Yeah, all panning out. Quite nice racing. Marius is staying on the back of Bobby Moss, which is great for the lead in the GT4 class, and in the meantime it looks like we've got Jason Baxter that's closed down Will Soper.
Yeah, and Soper is having to deal with a lot of the pressure, and he's going to have to suck it up for the time being. Zelinskas is in this battle as well. He's just off the rear of the train, and then kind of the two Finns of Kelo and Leskinen just hanging on for dear life at the moment, very much in danger of being dropped and put into the clutch of the likes of Ben Bennyworth and away from the top 5, which is where they really want to be. I think if you're Anton Kelo right now, what you'd love to see is a bit of battling ongoing between the guys in front. Would allow him the opportunity to maybe get his way back up the order. Lap car getting out of the way. In fact, the GT4 getting out of the way. Well, there we go, being lapped anyway. Jim Fox into the pit lane though, first of the GT3 pitters. Very early indeed. I don't think we've ever seen a pit stop this early. I mean, you'd think that the GT3 could get to the end from here, but I'm not too sure about this one. We've seen drivers go longer into the session so far this season, being able to run that fuel down and therefore have a slightly lighter car and therefore slightly faster car. Not too sure that pitting early and having a heavier car for a little bit longer is going to work out for Jim Fox here. No,
I think I know what the issue may be, Dora. He may have put his quali fuel on. He may have come out to the race in his quali fuel, because we're now 12 minutes in. That is about the amount of fuel that you would probably get for four laps quali or 10 minutes. So yeah, maybe Jim has forgot to put his race setup with the fuel on. So Jim will now be filling up and running to the end of the race, although he is still in the pits at the moment. So I don't know, we'll have to keep an eye on that. He's coming out the pits now, so we'll have to keep an eye on Jim and see where he can get his way back up to. We got Joe in the chat giving us the guidance for the audio. So for the last 10 minutes, Joe's been telling me to up this, down that, up the other. So if we've got that about right, Joe, then I'm glad that you're happy with that, mate. Just give us a shout and let us know. In the meantime, yeah, this is one of the closest battles that we've got on track, as Jason Baxter looks, he could probably see Gianni Terhar ahead, and the gaps in front. Are they now starting to come up against some of the GT4 cars? Yes, I think they are. As it looks to me like Arumas Zelinskas got that extremely late there. Jason was late as well. So as they now make their way through one or past one of the GT4 cars, we've got Gianni, we've got Will, and we've got Jason just trying to work their way through as they go past Scott Kostrick. And we've got another Arumas. We look to go on the inside. Is he going to get through? He is. And Arumas says, I'm coming through as well. You guys are not going and leaving me to it. So that's all of them through. We've got Will Soper looking to make a little bit of a move. Will looks like he was trying to capitalise on that, but then I think while he was trying to capitalise on that, we've also got Jason Baxter trying to capitalise on Will, trying to capitalise on Gianni. So yeah, this is fantastic racing from these four guys, all racing for P2. Meanwhile, Yanis is 5 seconds up the road, so he's got that luxury of being able to kind of work his way through the traffic. Yeah, this is frantic, Dora. This is really frantic. Great racing. Great racing.
Yeah, and it really goes to show that the second that we start to see the battling at the front of the field, it then just becomes a battle with more and more cars getting involved. Zelinskas now trying to get, well, I say trying to get through, but he's been overtaken by Anton Kelo with an absolutely fantastic exit out of turn number 1. The Finnish driver back into the top 5 now. He could start to try and chase after Jason Baxter with Will Soper there as well. GT4 traffic getting in the way a little bit as they run through turn 3. Could give Kelo a better exit off the corner than Jason Baxter. Will he have a run? Not too sure there's enough for that, but they'll come towards turn number 4 with Gianni Terhar still out in front. He's got a bit more of a buffer now, back to Will Soper, who got stuck behind a little bit of GT4 traffic there. Then Baxter and Kelo Zelinskas getting to the inside now at turn 4 as well. And then you've got Kalle Leskinen, who will make that move before they arrive into turn number 6. So everyone trying to duck and dive their way through, and it could mean that we have this battle stretched down a bit where it was momentarily really bunched up. It could pull once again into a little bit more of a case of trying to play with the traffic and see if you can create opportunities through them. But Leskinen right at the back of the train once again, just trying to find the right line. Kelo, though, he's on a bit of a march. Got through on Zelinskas at the start of that. now up behind Jason Baxter, who's going past Will Soper in towards turn number 9. Baxter's going to get that one done, I do believe. Goes very, very wide, though, and off the road. I don't think I'll have to give that one back, but iRacing, I don't think, well, may have pinged him in terms of a track limit violation for that one. Soper and Kalo and Zelinskas following through as well. Lots of movement in the top 6 at the time, being in the GT3s in the opening, well, just after the opening quarter of the race.
Brilliant racing from these guys. Meanwhile, the fox that is Gianni Terhar has pulled out a little 1.3 second gap from Jason Baxter. So he's kind of saying, yeah, you guys can mess around with all that traffic all you want, but I'm off. And he's got himself that 1.3 second gap, but now he's come up to 4 GT4 cars. So he's going to have to work his way through. Looks like he's caught them at quite a nice moment as he goes past Ryan Stringer. I think that may be one of the rage cars that he's just managed to get through. So yeah, I think by the time that the other guys behind Gianni have made their way through this traffic, his lead could be even bigger than the 1.3 seconds at the start. So we'll keep an eye on that one, as it looks like Anton Kalo is again thinking about capturing the opportunity. A little bit of a look there on the inside of Will Soper. Is he up the inside? No, he's not. He's coming, he's following Will through. He's saying, yeah, you work your way through, Will, and I'll just follow you through. Is he going to get the run onto the main straight? Looks like Martin Kenyon's had a bit of an incident as well. We'll try and see if we can catch that a little bit later. Meanwhile, in the GT4s, we've got Marius Hibner, who is staying right behind Bobby Moss. So 2 tenths, 3 tenths. Is Marius, is he fuel saving? Is he going to come good later on the race? He's got Tristan Engelstadt also right behind him. So Tristan's having a fantastic run out tonight for P3. And then just off the back of them, only a second behind, is Pedro Luis da Silva. So again, these 4 keeping it nice and tight. I think Marius may be fuel saving. So we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Meanwhile, we've got another Minecraft car working his way through. It's only fair that we have a look at Yannis Albert, just entering the series for the first round tonight. So joining on round 3, teaming up with Bobby Moss. So yeah, it looks like Yannis is, at the moment, he's doing everything right with an 8.2 second lead, Dora.
Yeah, it really is showing his class, isn't he, at this stage of the race? We're not that far through. I mean, short of 20 minutes through this race, and already an 8-second advantage is absolutely humongous. Compare that to the minute lead that Bobby Moss has right now in the GT4s. In fact, I think he's involved in the battle now with Maris and Tristan Engelstadt. They have closed up a little bit as we watch them around the final couple of corners. Hibner and Engelstadt just trying to find the right way to go about this, but the 2 leaders are about to go past each other. The 2 leaders are both the Minecraft Racing team. Of course, they come into this race with very few points before having just formed coming into tonight. But Bobby Moss, absolutely stellar performance. Yannis Albert doing even better at the front of the field. And now he has got a nice bit of clean air. He's cleared all of the GT4s now, and he's going to have a few laps where he can relax a little bit more. And the drivers behind him have that work to do to overtake the remaining GT4 cars. No move from Maris Hibner or Tristan Engelstadt into turn 3 this time around. But Tristan, we saw him go purple not that long ago. He clearly has a little bit of pace behind him that he probably could unlock if he can get through on Hibner and Moss, but it's also looking like it's a little bit easier said than done to get the move done here at the Red Bull Ring, despite this being a track that we know is renowned for good side-by-side racing, and we're going to see maybe a little bit of that in a minute. Past the GT4 of Stephen Donnelly goes some of the GT3 leaders. Anton Kalo right behind Will Soper. He's going to have to try and follow his rival through on this traffic, otherwise he could find himself disconnected, but it's going to get tight into 6. Inside line maybe, definitely for Jason Baxter. There's contact. Terhar's off the road. They're both off the road. Kalo's going to go through, and as will Zelinskas and Soper. But incredible moment there for Terhar to drop back, and both drivers, Baxter and Terhar, I should say, dropping down the order. Leskin and Bennyworth coming through now, and Gianni. Disaster for them realistically, and they're going to be 3 wide as they make their way towards turn 9. Soper looking to try and get his way through. Kalo in the middle, Baxter in front, but how much longer? Because Kalo's on the inside line. The Finnish driver going to get himself into P2. The up and under looked at by Will Soper. Frantic action, and in all the while they're just shipping time to Yannis Albert at the moment.
Wow, what a few corners of racing as Jason Baxter looks up the inside. Anton Kalo gives him plenty of space. Great racing from these 4 guys. This looks absolutely insane, Dara. I can only imagine what it feels like to be on board with the Rumus Salinskas at the moment. These 4 having an absolute ding-dong. What a race as they work their way through the traffic, and it seems like, it looks like Rumus has got a good run here. It seems like when they get out of traffic that they start racing, and when they get in traffic they navigated through safely. So yeah, brilliant racing from these 4 guys. And out of all of that, Anton Kalo has made his way through, and he's got a sneaky little 4/10 lead on Will Soper. So yeah, and where's Gianni Tehar gone? Gianni Tehar's gone in the pits, so he said, no more of this. I'm not getting involved in this. I'm going to take my pit stop, fuel up, and then run to the end. So, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out on where Gianni works his way through to. That was a frantic 5 minutes, Dara.
Yeah, really, all of those guys just going at it with each other and not really giving each other an inch. Great racing at turn 1 though from Anton Keller to allow the space on the inside for a possible move. In the end it never materialised, and Anton's got a bit of a gap back now to Stoker and Baxter and Slinskas, but a bit of a gap is less than half of a second still, so very tight as they cross the line once again. The gap between the leaders though, in terms of Albert and Kalo, 13.5 seconds. I mean, humongous lead for Yannis Albert to pull out at this stage of the race. He's pulling nearly a second a minute here. I mean, it's incredible to see. It just goes to show that how much time you really can lose while battling. These guys really aren't that far off the pace of Yannis Albert lap by lap, but the second you start trying to fight with each other, you can ship so much time to Yannis Albert, and that's exactly what they've done. Ben Bennyworth's been quietly going about his business as well. He is right on the back of this fight with Kalle Leskinen not a million miles away from him. GT4's to negotiate his way through before he can have a little bit of a breather, and he's got Joe Sparrow not a million miles behind him as well. So really great to see these tight trains happening in both classes, and you can see on the time tab that the fact that we've got some yellow and orange gaps denoting the fact that they're under a second. There's so many of them, so many battles going on the circuit right now.
Yeah, brilliant. I was just thinking exactly that Ben Bennyworth has been, for Quartermass Motorsport Bravo, has been quietly going about his business, letting all of this frantically unfold, and he's closed that gap down to 1.8 seconds to Kalle Leskinen. So great driving from Ben, working his way through the traffic. He's made 2.4 seconds on Joe Sparrow, who looks like Joe's just about to clear this current run of traffic. So yeah, we'll have to see if Ben can work his way through and see if he can close that gap down on Calais. Just on the note of Quartermass Motorsport, unfortunately Andy Chell can't be with us tonight, so Andy's not feeling 100%. He sent me a message earlier to say that he wasn't feeling 100%. So art goes out to you, Andy, and I hope that you start feeling a little bit better soon, and we would love to see you back on track with us as soon as you're feeling able. So he'll know what I mean. And yeah, all good, mate, all good. So get well soon, buddy. Get well soon.
Yeah, and hopefully he will be back on track in the not too distant future. But yeah, it'd be great to see him back pretty soon. I really am looking forward to seeing how the battle at the front of the GT4 is going to end up developing, because Bobby Moss with the Hibmer and Engelstadt, I can't see that one being left alone by the end of the race. I mean, they've got Pedro Luis da Silva doing a Ben Bennyworth style drive in P4. Again, quietly, we haven't really mentioned him at all, but he's only a couple of seconds off the lead here and just lurking in the background. So a lot of drivers who are still involved and in the fray here, who would love to get themselves involved, and we are nearly approaching the half distance in this race. Already it's flown by the opening 24 minutes here at the Red Bull Ring. Chris Jennings looking for a move on Callum Morrow. This is another tight battle, this time in the GT4s. Malcolm Coates, Ryan Stringer just in the background as well. These four cars, again, very, very close together. Niels Kula at the back of this train, though. The Latvian driver, I think he'd be looking for a little bit more. He's shown some great pace in GT4s in his time here in ESR, but P12 I'm sure is a little bit below his expectations, in the same way that Matt Hoyland being outside of that top battle is probably not where he wants to be either. Yeah,
I wonder if Nils has had a bit of an incident, because we know from Nils's GT4 championship days in the Pro-Am, or was it the Premier? I don't remember what the title was. We've changed it so many times. But yeah, he was battling with Liam Fraser and Robin Noel Brown and John Ludbrook. We know what pace Nils has got, so yeah, this must be maybe because it's Easter weekend, bit of lack of practice. But yeah, Nils has definitely got enough pace to run with these 4 guys in front of him. And as you're on board with him now, Tara, there's one thing for sure: when you can see 4 GT4 drivers in front of you and you can see that they're all battling, that is all the incentive that you need to start closing that gap down as he gets a fantastic exit. Looks like Malcolm Coates has got a little bit of a poor exit, and Nils might send it up the inside into turn 3 as we jump to the other camera. And yeah, where Nils was like a few seconds ago seemed to be off the back of this battle, and now he's well and truly in it.
Yeah, I mean, his time gap changed at the exit of turn 1 from 1.6 seconds, which it was when he crossed the line, to 0.2 of a second. He's gained pretty much 2 seconds on Malcolm Coates in the space of a sector, a couple of corners, quite frankly. It just shows how quickly you can get involved into a battle here at the Red Bull Ring, and seeing cars battling in front of you is one of the best sights in sim racing. It really is, because it just gives you that chance at battling as well, especially if you've been deprived of a side-by-side for a little while. Absolutely fantastic to see. We're not going to be deprived of a side-by-side for much longer, I don't think, in the GT3, so this battle up towards the front with Soper, Braxter and Zelinskas is not going anywhere at all, and if they start to go at it, Kalle Leskinen could get himself into it. He's down in P6 in the pink car that is just at the back of the frame, diving inside, outside. Zelinskas looked for the inside line, then thought he had to go back to the outside line because Baxter was defending it, but in the end Baxter took the racing line anyway, and all 3 of them go through the corners as if nothing happened, and in exactly the same order that they ended it in. So they'll continue onwards towards their pit stop window, but I think we can start thinking about pit stops now as we near the half distance in this race. I can't see them pitting for another 15 minutes. They're going to run it as far as they can, albeit having said that, this is a track that will use a lot more fuel than others, with it being very power dominant, won't it?
It will, and I just wonder whether picking the pit stop, I've not done much multi-class racing myself, so I don't really know, but I wonder whether picking the timing of the pit stop is actually quite critical, because you can imagine if you can see on your relative that you've got, 6 or 7 GT4s coming up, and you get into that point where you're thinking, should I stop maybe this lap, 2 laps time, 3 laps time, and all of a sudden you see those GT4s and you think, if you're at the back of, like Aruma Zelinskas or even Kalle Leskinen, if you're at the back of this and you can see the GT4s and you think, well, shall I just dive in quickly, top up, get back out into free air? I don't know. This is going to be really interesting to see how this pans out, as it looks like we've got Daniel Poole being overtaken by the 3 amigos that are fighting. Anton Kalo has pulled out a nice gap now. So Anton's pulled out a 1.5 second gap on Will Soper. So he's obviously decided that he's off and he wants to get out of the frantic battling, leaving just these 3 to decide who it is that's going to be taking that final 3rd place. Things look like they've just calmed down a fraction for a moment. So in that time, let's go and have a look at some of the GT4 drivers. So we've got Simon Hunt, who's also for Quartermass Motorsport. So Simon is currently running in P14. He's running behind Name Mayer and Chris Jennings. So Chris Jennings is now 10 seconds behind Nils Cooler. So I don't think Chris has pitted. So he hasn't, no. Jim Fox has pitted twice. So Jim must have had an incident or couldn't fuel the car to the end. Yeah, that's probably what's happened there. So very, very unfortunate for Jim on his first time out. So as we get back on board, we've got a 4-way fight here for Malcolm Coates, Ryan Stringer, Callum Morrow. Nils Cooler has made it through. Gianni Tahar is now working his way through the traffic as well. So he's going to be running all the way to the end. So currently P15. I guess we're not really going to see the effect of this, Dara, until some of the other GT3 cars start to pit in front of him.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. But for the time being, he's just kind of stuck in no man's land, isn't he? Really disappointing for him to be down here after having that great launch and great qualifying session as well, to be down in P15 and off the back of Actually, Fellows is not exactly where he wants to be. Of course, Fellows just behind Jaden Scott, and so you could get 2 moves for the price of 1 in the not too distant future. Got to be careful to negotiate your way through some GT4 traffic, though, which he does indeed do. There is Fellows, who's just fell behind Jaden Scott, and who got through on him on that last lap. And I have to say, I don't think it's going to be too long before Jenny Tehar rocks up on the back, only a couple of laps or so. Naimaya is into the pit lane from the GT4 class at about exactly half race distance, so I wonder if that's planned there from the Swiss Random Races driver, getting it down on pit lane for the one and likely only time in this race. Something that we saw a lot in the opening round, isn't it? Where drivers would pit after about 30 minutes and go 30 minutes to the end, but we've almost come to learn that pitting as late as you possibly can is the way to go about it. That's what these guys at the front are doing, and Jason Baxter may have a little bit cleaner, a little bit of a cleaner track in front of him as he overtakes Will Soper down in towards turn number 1. Zelinskas may get involved as well, but the fight's not over for P3 either as they run up the hill towards turn number 3. There's a Quartermass Motorsport GT4 on the racing line that will be out of the way as they get in towards the braking zone, but there is no move to be made, or is there? Zelinskas braking very late, don't know whether he intended to or not, but he's going to get an inside line. Sadly for him, though, no drive off of the corner in relation to Will Soper, and he's going to have to sit in line and wait for the time being at least. Baxter making a good move, though. Can he try to be the one to chase down Kayla? Let's find out.
Maybe. I don't think Will Soper's bumper could have been any more relevant. Careful now, Arumas, as he goes into that turn 3. So yeah, brilliant racing from these guys. I bet they're absolutely sick of each other. So they've done 32 minutes, have probably been separated by less than a second. So yeah, I have absolutely no idea how this one's going to play out. But yeah, Rumas Zelinskas just doesn't seem to be able to make it past Will Soper, and Jason Baxter's just pulled away 7/10 as well. So if you're one of these drivers, surely one of them's gonna pit early, or maybe they've just got a massive smile on the face, Dara, and they're just thinking, you know, what fantastic racing it is, and they're just getting stuck in and enjoying it.
Yeah, and hopefully that is the case, and surely that is the case. I mean, it's fantastic to see these guys battling in the way that they are. Really has been an exciting opening half of the race, isn't it? With all of these guys battling it out, hammer and tong, but it's not going to be over until the checkered flag flies, you feel, in this one. Marius Hidmer, an example of what I've just said, being here in the GT4 leading battle. Bobby Moss has been leading from start to now, quite frankly, but it's not been easy for him. He's not had a comfortable margin to the drivers behind. Hidmer, Engelstadt, Pedro Luis da Silva, all keeping him on a tight leash here. Pedro Luis da Silva actually catching Tristan Engelstadt, so they could be in route for P3, as well as all 4 of the leading GT4s were momentarily in frame there, because they're going to have to think about their pit stops at some point. And once again, the longer you can run in this race, the shorter your pit stop time is going to be. And all of a sudden, the likes of Pedro Luis da Silva, if he's been able to save a little bit of fuel by sitting at the back of this train over the course of the opening, 33, and by the time we get to the pit stop phase, about 45 minutes worth of racing, then he's going to be able to go that extra couple of laps and maybe shorten off the pit stop enough that he's going to be able to come out in the lead and away from these two who are going to be battling for the race lead. Hidman not going to go for the move, though, down in towards turn number 3. Bobby Moss will hold on for the time being, and Hidman looks like he's just happy to sit in second and save fuel. That's going to be a very smart tactic if it's going to work out for him.
Yeah, I saw that as well, Dora. I think we've rumbled him. So yeah, I think he'd got a great run there. He could have made a move up the inside, and Marius is just thinking, yeah, I'm going to sit here a bit longer, save a bit of fuel, let Bobby do all the hard work. So yeah, is he going to go longer than Bobby? We'll have to wait and see when we get to the pit stops, but I think he is. I mean, we may be wrong, of course, but I think he's going to probably go a bit longer than, as we've got Ben Bennyworth into the pits. I think he is going to go a bit longer than Bobby, and then he's probably going to put the hammer down and probably have a shorter pit time. But as we know, when you make your pit stops on iRacing, there's a lot to try and think about and a lot to try and get right, all in a very short space of time. A good friend of mine, Robin Aston, started a race the other day on the wrong tyres, and there's a lot to think about when you're coming in. You can't speed in the pitch, you've got to stop bang on your marks, you've got to have all the settings correct in the black box before you get there. And then as soon as that flag lifts, you've got to get out and make sure you've got your limiter on. So yeah, there's so many things that can go wrong. I don't know how this is going to play out with these two. I think I do. but we'll have to wait and see. There's one thing for sure, in the next 25 minutes, we're going to find out.
Yeah, you can never be too sure, can you? You never want to count your chickens before they hatch, especially in a race like this where we've got the margins that are so fine between so many of the drivers, particularly at the front of the field. We haven't really had this, have we, either, so far this season, particularly in the GT4 class, with William Humphrey just being the complete class of the field. We're not really having the same dominance from anybody here tonight, which is kind of what we want to see. Sorry, William, no offence at all, but it's great when you're not here because we get some proper racing for the race lead and some great championship pictures that I think we can start to develop by the end of the evening. Pedro Luis hasn't been able to get through on Tristan Engelstad though. I really did think that he could have had a go in the last lap or two, but again, maybe another driver happy to sit and wait and just bide his time. You've got to feel for Stephen Donnelly in P5 in the GT4. I mean, he's 8 seconds behind Pedro, 8 seconds ahead of Evan Nain. He's having a bit of a boring race in that Haribo car. He's going to keep his sugar levels high in that JSD Racing entry, but they will all start to be thinking, will be starting to think about those pit stops that will be happening in the not too distant future as we do tick down towards the final third of the race now already. Another point that I wanted to make was that Yannis Albert pulled a 13-second gap to Anton Kalo in the first 25 minutes of this race. In the last 10-15, it stayed pretty much the same. I love how I've transitioned to that with those two, Donnelly and Yannis, next to each other on the circuit. That wasn't intended. But Albert, seemingly just, again, saving the field, just, not really pushing, because why would he? He doesn't need to. He's got that big of a gap, lapping very consistently now in the 1-minute 30s. It's not too much of a surprise to see him doing what he's doing now. Soper going slowly. He's being overtaken by both Zelinskas and Leskinen. And what's happening here? I think all three of them are having a bit of a brawl. So Zelinskas has got himself through, Leskinen as well. And the Finns, who were running in 6th and 7th for some time, and up to 2nd and 5th, are looking like they're moving forward once again as well. Leskinen looking to get through Zelinskas on the exit of turn 1. Clearly dropping back towards Soper. Not too sure what's happening to him in that 1-1-2 car, but it's not positive, is it, James?
It isn't. No, I was just trying to have a look to see if Will had got damage of some sort, but his car is looking pristine to me. So whether he's had a bit of an incident, I've not got anything come through in the timing tower that they've had an incident. So maybe he had a slowdown, Dora. Maybe he had a slowdown, and that would make a lot of sense. Meanwhile, Kalle Leskinen has said, well, if you've got a slowdown, I'm going to take your place. So Aruma Zelinskas is probably thinking, well, I'll have a little bit of a break for a bit now and get my toe down a bit and try and catch Jason Baxter. And Kalle Leskinen says, no, mate, you're going to have to look in my mirrors at this pink machine for the next 10 minutes, at least. So yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be a slowdown with Will Soper, but still running in P6. Meanwhile, Matt Hoyland has worked his way up to P7. So Matt was down in P13 originally. So cream rises to the top, so they say, Dora. So Matt is on his way through. He's not pitted yet, so still has to pit, as do all of the drivers in front of him. In fact, the leading driver that's actually pitted is Ben Bennyworth, who is some 20 seconds behind Louis Plath, as we've got Joe Sparrer, who dives into the pits. So hopefully Joe gets everything sorted and right, doesn't get done for speeding. And that is Joe with 21 minutes to go. Meanwhile, Kalle Leskinen is staying right on the back of Aruma Zelinskas. So yeah, great first time out for Kalle. He will be delighted with that. I'm a bit curious to know if that was your Easter pun, by the way, Dora, was it? Did you deliberately put the Easter pun in there, being as it's Easter Sunday? The can't count your chickens.
No. Now that you've said it, I'm hearing it, but I didn't hear it when I said it. Oh, now yeah, right. That wasn't intended. I'll put one in the last 20 minutes. I'll work out a good one to.
Okay. We believe you. We believe you. Many wouldn't, but we do believe you. Meanwhile, Marius, as Marius actually made his mind. Oh, there's just a little bump there. Oh, and it looks like we've got the two Minecraft guys. This is like synchronised Minecraft pit stops. So we've got Yannis behind Bobby Moss, both coming in for their pits at the same time. I mean, surely that was coincidence. So Marius then inherits the lead. He's got 2-point-second lead over Tristan Engelstad, who Tristan Engelstad has got Pedro Luis da Silva right behind him, so only half a second behind him. So again, maybe Pedro's doing the same thing as Marius in terms of going longer, and we'll be looking to try to jump Tristan in the pit stops. That promotes Stephen Donnelly up to 4th place, and Bobby Moss is going to come out the pits as we have a look. Where is Bobby? He's coming out the pits now, so he comes out in P9. Nice clean bit of track. So yeah, let's have a look at what Bobby Moss's pit time was. It was 19.78. So meanwhile, we'll jump back on board with Marius. I think if Marius goes another lap, then it would confirm that he's been saving some fuel as he's gone through. Martin Kenyon's also in the pits. We've got Ian Chambers in the pits as well. Tom Dar and Matt Hoyland has decided to take his pit stop as well. Let's jump on board with Marius. Is he going to pit, Dara? Do you want to make a little wager on it?
I don't think he will. No, he won't. Good. Nice. I'm glad. I think he'll have been rubbing his hands, really, when he saw Bobby Moss come into the pit lane, because he will know his fuel number. He'll know how much further he can get. And obviously, you know, it's an exponential increase. The longer you can go, the shorter your pit stop time is going to be. And, you know, with the gap being what it was at, you know, minute, tenths of a second, it's going to be looking increasingly good for Marius Hibmer in this race. Anton Kalle Leskinen and Will Soperall in the pit lane now from the GT3 class allows Jason Baxter now to lead. Now I'm interested in the fact that Baxter and Zelinskas can go longer, because they were all involved in that big brawl, weren't they? So almost surprising to see that they have all been able to go that little bit longer in this race, but I guess they were in the train, and so we're lifting off quite a bit. So at the same time, you can see how that can work out in the end for them, but they are still in the pit lane. They're going to allow the likes of Joe Sparrow to get a little bit closer. Of course, Ben Bennyworth made his pit stop a long time ago. We'll see where he will be in relation to those guys, but it doesn't look like he is necessarily in the battle at the moment. Although having said that, I think it's going to be relatively close. In fact, that's Lewis Plath coming into the pit lane. It's not going to be a million miles between Soper and Sparrow, along with Bennyworth at the moment, but I think not as close as Bennyworth would like to be after being quite isolated in this race. 18 minutes to go, though. Time is ticking away. Baxter and Zelinskas, surely they're coming in this lap or next. Hibmer as well. It's got to come in soon.
I think that's the move to the right. As he passes what looks to be, I think, Scott Kostrick. Wow, as Jason Baxter goes really wide. Now, was that intentional? And he is staying out for another lap as Arumus is into the pits. Oh, and Arumus has had an incident there on his way into the pits. It looks like Arumus has pitted at the same time as one of the GT4 cars, and there's been a coming together. So that's not going to be great for him when he comes out. Meanwhile, Jason Baxter is staying out and staying out and staying out. So Stephen Donnelly is now up to P2. Marius Hibner is still out. So we've definitely got some fuel saving going on. So we've got the leader of the GT3s and the leader of the GT4s on track together, albeit, of course, Marius will be a few laps down. I'm guessing, Dara, that Jason will be in this lap with only 16 minutes remaining. So he will have done 44 minutes on 70% fuel. Maybe he could go a bit longer. Maybe.
I mean, it's just a case of how far. It can't be that much longer. He's going laps now longer than everybody else. Really, really impressive to see him go this far. And it's going to be helping, of course, with the just with the lack of pit stop time that he'll have to undertake. But Baxter, does he come in this time round? 60 minutes to go. Will he be able to do 3/4 of the race on one stint? No, not quite. Will come in this time, and Nana Silbert will re-inherit the lead when he does come through the final couple of corners. Does Marius Hibner come in soon? We'll have to wait and see. Brief look at Gavin Silbert making his way through. Got a little bit of GT4 traffic, but that won't worry him too much at all.
No,
Hibner
Marius
coming through again. Fastest lap time as well of the race from Marius Hibner.
Stays out.
Clearly the low fuel loads are working out for him.
He's not just out, Dara. He's out. He's staying out for another lap. Wow. Obviously buys decent petrol, does Marius Hibner. So yeah, Stephen Donnelly's pitted. So is that everybody that's pitted? No, we've got Linus Petkavicius is also So Linus has gone up into P3, and Linus has not pitted either. And Malcolm Coates
as well.
Yeah, Coates has not pitted either. So, so yeah, maybe we're getting a little bit overexcited, Dora, about how long Marius Hibner's taking it. He's not on his own. There's a few others. So where's this battle?
I mean, it's true,
where's all this battle come out to be now that Jason Baxter's come out? P3, 1.5 seconds behind Anton Kalo.
And it has really fragmented, hasn't it? Kalo, Baxter, Leskinen, and Soper. Now there is quite a decent chunk of time between a lot of them. Terha, 11th after the pit stops have shaken out. Not exactly where he would want to be. I'm sure there's the overall race order. Liam Froze up to P6. He's having a good race in that Moonshiners Racing Club. Although I'm guessing that has he pit yet, James?
He has.
I presume he has. Yes, he has. So he's having a really good race.
He has pitted. Yeah,
Dean will be
delighted.
Yeah, exactly. Another one of those drivers we haven't talked about too much, but that's because he's been quietly going about his business in this race. Also, quick word on Marius Hibner. He's only about 20 seconds off the back of Jim Fox overall, which is really impressive. And he's gone through again. And he's gone fastest again. He's 34 seconds ahead of Linus Petkovicius. And he's going to get into the pit box with a maximum of 13 minutes remaining. He's not going to need much more fuel than he needed for qualifying at that point. So really impressive from Marius to keep going this long. And after a couple of races at the start of the season where he's been in William Humphrey's shadow a little bit, he's really emerging and showing everyone what he can do and, you know, how good his fuel saving is, which is crucial in a championship like this.
Incredible fuel saving. Absolutely incredible. So, but yeah, we've got Linus Petkovicius doing the same. So, and we've also got, yeah, they're the two drivers, the only two drivers in the GT4s that have not pitted. So surely Marius has got to pit this time, because it just looks like we caught a bit of dust there. So we'll, looks like Bobby Moss has got past. Bobby Moss has got past Linus Petkovicius on the way up to T3. So that's Bobby Moss back into P2. He'll be thinking that, oh, and it looks like we've got a spinning SRB Motorsports Acura, which looks like it could have been a Rumus Zelinskas, and I think it was, as he gets the recovery. We'll come back. So now, finally, Marius is coming into the pits. Great staying power from Marius.
Yeah, incredible from him, and I think he will come out in the lead here. And I think comfortably as well. He's got a 34-second gap, which probably means he could take about 20 seconds in the pit stop. Maybe just about 15, but I don't think he's going to need that long at all. We'll keep watching him as he has stopped on the marks. Keep it counting in your head as he is stopped. Here is Bobby Moss. He's just about to come up to the final couple of corners now. If Marius can be moving here, he should be able to come out in the race lead. We'll have to wait and see as Bobby Moss comes to the final corner. He's not going to have anybody worrying him as he works his way across the start-finish line. And there goes Hibner. He's got a huge lead. I'd say that's about nearly 5 seconds, if not a little bit more, as we see Bobby Moss run across the line. Incredible staying power from Marius. And he's not going to be challenged, you'd say, in the final 12 minutes without a big mistake in this race.
Brilliant driving. Absolutely brilliant driving from Marius. A lesson to us all in fuel saving. And we did catch it on stream, Dara, so we can take a tiny bit of credit for spotting it early doors. So yeah, brilliant racing from Marius. If we catch up with him in the interview, we'll get the rundown. So yeah, that looks like it's kind of stabilised the GT4s a little bit, because we've got Marius in P1, Bobby Moss in P2, and then Linus Petkovicius, who is 1.6 seconds behind, but Linus hasn't pitted. So it looks like Pedro Luis da Silva will be inheriting the P3 if Linus Petkovicius has not yet pitted. I'm wondering if that's a mistake on my timing tower, because could he go 50 minutes on one tank of fuel? That would be impressive. That would be impressive, as it looks like back in the GT3s we've got Jason Baxter, who has caught up with Anton Kalo, and this is going to be a battle for the last 11 minutes of the race. Does Linus Petkovicius stay out? Let's jump back and have a look. Surely he's going to come in this time.
Surely. Heavy braking. There he goes. Into the pit lane. What a stint, though. 51 minutes on a stint. Sorry, not 51, 49 minutes on a stint. Incredible from non-spec vehicles to go that long with the fuel parameters that we have. And he'll have the shortest pit stop of anybody, you'd imagine, in this race to go with it. Petra Luis Silva will inherit then the podium places in that GT4 class. Baxter still close, though, behind Anton Kalo. And even though we haven't got too many close battles in the GT4s, we've got more than a fair few battles in the GT3s. Baxter with Kalo. Then we've got the likes of Muntean ahead of Tom Dart, Jaden Scott, and Gianni Terhar. Gianni looking to try and get himself back in towards the top 8, which is where he'll feel like he at least deserves to be. And he's got 3 cars right in front of him. This could get really interesting. You'd imagine that he's the fastest of the 4, and he's sitting at the back of the train at the moment.
Yeah, he must have had an incident. He must have had an incident that we're not aware of, other than the one before the pit stop. So we'll have to catch up with Gianni a bit later and see what happened there. But yeah, considering that he was running in that top 4, top 5 in that battle early on in the race, he will be very, very, very disappointed with P11. Although I think he can probably get the 3 cars in front of him if things go well and if he's not carrying some kind of damage. So he's got 9 minutes to do so. Jaden Scotton is the car immediately in front of him, one of the Flatline Racing green cars in the Corvette, as Andre Muntien looks like he's going up the inside of Pedro Luis da Silva. Where is Gianni going to probably try the move? I would imagine turn 3 with 9 minutes left to go. If that was me, if I had, well, I don't have Gianni's pace, but if I did, I'd be thinking kind of 1 car per lap. So we'll have to keep an eye on and see where Gianni can work his way up to. Matt Hoyland, meanwhile, is down in P13. So Matt worked his way up through to P7, and then after the pit stops, has dropped back to P13. So that must have been Matt being out of sequence due to the pit stops and getting us all overexcited as Gianni looks to go around, looks at the outside, thinks better of it, he's going to try and get better traction out now. No, doesn't seem to be able to get these guys. So either he's not carrying the pace that he did at the beginning, Dara, or he's maybe got a little bit of damage, or these guys have sped up as the race has gone on and as they've got acclimatised to it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the longer we run, of course, practice can help, you know, for any driver, but be able to race in these kind of conditions is going to be the best form of practice, and the later on you get into the race, the best your pace is likely to be. Gianni looked for the move into turn 6, it's never going to work there. I don't see many moves at all work into there, but at the same time, Scotland's tried to look down the inside of Tom Dart and got that move done. Tom Dart's now going to come under pressure from Gianni Terhar towards turn number 9. Incredible turn of events for Tom Dart to have 2 drivers behind him battling to being overtaken by both of them in the space of a sector. Inside line for the Dutchman of Terhar. I think he's just about going to get the inside line for turn 10 as well. Can he complete this one? And a dispatch of Tom Dart, the answer is going to be yes. And that's going to be 1 out of 3 ticked off the list. Scott and Muntean, that's still very much in the frame. It's far too big of a gap up towards Ben Bennyworth of any chance at catching the top 7 as Bennyworth looks to fight with Sparrow, but Terhar goes deep. He loses out to Tom Dart, goes wide off the road, nearly hits the tire barrier as well. In all kinds of a mess. Oh, and he merges onto the track, nearly hits Bobby Moss as well. Really messy couple of moments for Gianni Terhar. It's not been his race so far, is it?
Oh no, he might blame us for that, Dara, since we were on board with him. So hopefully he doesn't. But yeah, we'll leave him to it, as he seems to be having a few difficult moments, shall we say. Meanwhile, this battle is still going on between Jason Baxter and Anton Kalo, and it looks like Jason is giving it all he's got to stay on the back of Anton. Yanis Olber with a 21-second lead, so tip of the hat to Yanis. That's absolute fantastic performance. Welcome back to ESR in style. And yeah, we've got Ben Bennyworth and Joe Sparrow going at it as well. So this is going to be this is going to be for P6. And where did I see? I saw for a moment there. Is that Liam Fraser in Dean Sheesby's Porsche? It looks like Liam. Has Liam had an incident? Because Liam must have had an incident. He was running a bit higher before, so yeah, he's showing. Yeah, I think the timing tower is again playing up So
Yeah, he
as
is.
you can see, yeah, Liam Fraser is running in P6, which I thought he was, because on the timing tower to my right, he's running in P6, but yet in the grouped timing tower, he's not. Now I wonder
I
if
think it's because he's not officially on the timing tower. I don't think he's officially almost listed as a GT3 because he's not got that little gold bar, yellow bar, has he, next to his name. So I don't think officially that the timing system recognises him as a GT3 runner, which could be why he's not on the timing tower and why we're almost surprised to see him up there every time we put it into the overall race order. But he's had a good race, by the way, hasn't he?
he has. He's had a great race, and I think I know why. Because I think the last race he was reserving in the GT4. So now we know he's in a GT3. There should be his gold bar. So when we now go back to the group tower, Liam Fraser is in P6. I think Dean did mention that actually in the chat, but it's just difficult to keep up with everything. So yeah, so we've got Liam Fraser, Joe Sparrow and Ben Bennyworth battling this out for what will be P6 in the GT3 class with only 4 minutes to go. So this looks like one of the closest battles that we've got on track at the moment, apart from the age-old Baxter-Kalo battle. 4 minutes left to go. What's that going to be? 3 laps, Dara?
Should be. Depends when Yannis Albert is going to cross the line here. That will be important in how long we have left in this race. And he's going to do that right now, as if on perfect cue. And with the lap time sitting at about that 1 minute 30, we are going to have 3 more laps in this race to settle out these battles. Anton Kalo will be looking to defend from Jason Baxter as we run towards the latter stages of this race. This is one of the only remaining battles on the circuit with only a few minutes to go. And it just goes to show how good this battle has been, that it was one of the first battles we saw. We've seen it all the way through, and with 5 minutes to go, with 3.5 minutes to go even, they're still going at it. 3 more tours of this Spielberg RedBull Circuit for both Kalo and Baxter, both searching for a P2. Anton Kalo's had a great start to the season, really has shown exactly why he's going to be one of the favourites running all the way to the end of the championship. But P2 behind Yannis Albert, a big distance behind, won't necessarily please him. He'll have to keep himself ahead of Jason Baxter to feel like he has achieved what he wanted to, at least in the latter parts of this race. Malcolm Coates is a little bit, or just behind Linus Petkavicius, who's in that white and green entry as they run their way off the exit of turn 3. But that is the closest battle we have in GT4, which is fair to say has gapped out a bit over the course of this race.
It has, Dara. It has. The one gap I do want to point out is Marius Hibmer. He's got an 11-second lead over Bobby Moss. So stunning tactics, absolutely stunning tactics, and really well done to him. So yeah, we've now got all gaps in GT4 currently over a second. So Ryan Stringer's had a great run for his first race on track with us in the series. So big congrats to him. He's currently running in P5 for the Quad Dash Racing LGR division. So P5 for him. Denzel will be pleased with that, and hopefully we can see Denzel back on track with us in 2 weeks' time when we go to Zandvoort. So as one driver was just having a late pit stop there, was that Ian Chambers? I think it was. So yeah, we've got 1 minute 57 to go. Jason Baxter looks like he's just dropped off the back a little bit now. Maybe just pushing a bit too hard and burnt those tyres, or overheated those tyres a little bit. So yeah, couple of laps to go, and it looks like, as long as all things being equal, Dara, that Anton Kalo has secured that P2 position.
It does, and if he can just hold on for another lap and a half, he will be home and dry. Joe Sparrow looking like he's going to try and get through on Liam Fraser as well. Needs to try and get through on this axis 1-2-2 as quickly as he can through turn number 1. Will do, but he has to keep close tabs on Liam Fraser in that Moonshiners Racing Club. Of course, Sparrow and Donnelly, teammates in the JSD Racing outfit, 7th and 4th in their respective classes, would be a fantastic showing for them and move them into real contention in the team's championship. Hoyland trying to get through on Lewis Plath as well. All of these battles bubbling up right towards the end of the race, and as they come across the line, they're not a million miles ahead of Yannis Albert, who's nearly put an entire lap on them and is about to start the final lap. There he goes, fastest lap he's just set, and he's got one more tour of this Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, brilliant performance from Yannis. I think everybody knows how quick Yannis can be on his day. and he's absolutely shown that this evening. So yeah, thanks to Yanis for stepping in and teaming up with Bobby. So greatly appreciated. Lovely livery. Usual for Yanis. I'm quite surprised that he chose a team name that was shorter than about 1,000 characters, because usually when Yanis rejoins a series, he likes to have the longest team name possible, just so we can't fit it on the standings. So yeah, I kind of appreciate Yanis keeping it relatively straightforward this time around. He's got a bit of GT4 traffic to navigate as he comes through. Just trying to keep my eye on some of the other gaps. Looks like we've got Jaden Scott and Andre Muntien having a little bit of gap, but we're going to stay on board with Yanis as he comes through the final set of corners, Dara, and what he's going to be taking his debut win, hopefully, in the European GT Championship.
Yeah, what a race it's been from Yanis Hilbert. He got pole, got away. He opened up that second margin by the end of the opening lap, and he hasn't looked back since. 22.5 seconds is what he's got now, and it has been a dominant display from the German in that 1-1-1. He's going to finish in P1 here at the Red Bull Ring. What a way to get his season really underway, and he's picked up full points here on the 1 hour of the Red Bull Ring. Anton Kalo, great results for him so far this season, but he comes to the Red Bull Ring hungry for a win. Not quite going to get that tonight with the Finnish driver. The MK Simsport representative is going to come home for P2. What a result in the end for him. Whilst that's happened, and whilst Jason Baxter comes home for P3, Marius Hidmer has also taken the flag in the GT4 class. Bobby Moss and Pedro Luis da Silva have followed him home in second and third. But for the Minecraft Racing team, first in GT3, second in GT4. Absolutely fantastic result for them. And there's Pedro Luis da Silva for the Navi X Racing team to get home on the podium. Great drive from Marius Hidmer as well, the Danish driver getting his first win of the season and his third podium out of 3 possible races. Liam Fraser, good race for him though. Big shout out for a P6 and for the reserve driver, and I think it's fair to say Moonshiners are going to be delighted with the work that he has done, just about finishing ahead of the duo of Spara and Bennyworth. Fantastic race though, James, and great to see Albert and him showing their class, and great to see some great battles for the podium as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And we've got Andre Muntien and Jaden Scotton just not letting this one go all the way to the line. So Jaden Scotton scores P9, Andre Muntien scores P10, and then we've got Gianni Tahar. He will be disappointed with that, P11, and Matt Hoyland in P12. So sorry we missed some of the GT4 drivers coming across the line. So great racing from Marius Hidmer. I think that's probably one of my favourite performances so far out of the 3 rounds that we've had. I mean, William Humphrey is absolutely a league above, as we know, but Marius there, really intelligent driving, sitting there behind, fuel saving. Yeah, big shout out to Marius. Great win, and I imagine that he's going to be delighted with that. Another driver that's probably going to be really pleased with his result is Pedro Luis da Silva on the podium in P3, Dara.
Yeah, great result for him. Come the checkered flag, and he's going to be really pleased to have picked up good points tonight for him and, of course, for the team. But I think everybody now has crossed the line here at the Red Bull Ring. We're just waiting for a couple of the drivers to almost stop circulating the circuit, and then we can get to the race results. Quatermass having a decent evening as well. Bennyworth in the end not quite getting that top 7 he was looking for, even the top 6 he was looking for, but a good result for him, consistently going about his work yet again this evening. Niels Kula as well, mention of him, Latvian driver, was just outside the top 10 in the opening stages, but ended up rising through the ranks to end the race inside the top 8. But yeah, really successful evening in the end. Simon Hunt, does someone want to tell him that the race is over? I'm not too sure if he knows. But regardless if he has or not, here are the race results from 1 hour's worth of racing, and 1 fantastic hour's worth of racing here at the Red Bull Ring. Yanis Hilbert, though, your race winner, and the German driver leads home Anton Kalo and Jason Baxter, who will join him on the podium. Kalle Leskinen and Will Soper 4th and 5th, ahead of the reserve driver of Liam Fraser, stepping in for the Moonshiners Racing Club. He was P6. Not far ahead of Joe Spar and Ben Bennyworth, though. They were within a minute of the race winner, and the last 2 drivers within a minute of the race winner. Jaden Scotton and Andre Muntien, not much to separate 9th and 10th across the line. They were ahead of Gianni Tahar, who will be disappointed, it's fair to say, with finishing outside of the top 10. Matt Hoyland, Lewis Plath and Tom Dart were on the lead lap. Andrew Flores was a lap down in his flatline racing car. 2 laps down was Jim Fox. Sadly for Zelinskas, after battling towards the front in most of the race. Finishes 5 laps down and in 17th. Over in the GT4s, it was a quite as dominant victory in the end for Marius Hibmer. The Danish driver won by 11 seconds, but at the same time, it's fair to say that he had to work for it, and the fuel saving that he did in the opening stint enabled him to come out in the lead and pull away from Bobby Moss, who it wasn't to be for the 555, but he still gets a P2 and a podium finish. Pedro Luis da Silva rounds off that podium ahead of Stephen Donnelly with a big gap back then to Ryan Stringer, with 42 seconds off the overall race win. Linus Petkovic, Malcolm Coates and Niels Kula were within a minute of the win in the top 8, with Chris Jennings and Martin Kenyon, the 2 Brits, rounding out the top 10. Evan Main in his BMW was ahead of Rob Gregg and Simon Hunt. Scott Kostrick and Callum Morrow on the lead lap. They were the 15 drivers to finish on that lead lap. Pete Paeva and Daniel Paul Sally for them a lap down. They finished in 16th and in 17th. Nine Meyer, the Swiss driver, was 18th ahead of Ian Chambers, 3 laps down in 19th before a couple of the one driver that didn't finish the race, Tristan Engelstadt, and then of course the 2 twins down there of Series Admin and Series Admin. They were seen in the paddock apparently having a coffee mid-race, obviously not getting off the line very well, and of course John LeBrook, who didn't take the start either. But what a race in the end there, James. Really successful to see, and great to see the drivers performing the way that they have, and it'll be great to get a word from them in a minute.
It will, yeah, absolutely. Fantastic race in there, Dara. I was just, we've definitely had some gremlins tonight. I think Joe Glass has probably sent us those gremlins in terms of on the SDK. So apologies to if the few bits and pieces weren't running totally smoothly. We do our best, and it's difficult sometimes to try and work out on the fly what it is that's actually not working correctly. So yeah, if we want to get some driver interviews, Dara, we will see what Gremlins, Discord and SDK and OBS can throw at us next.
Right, well, I think the first guy we're going to drag into the overall race winner would be silly to start anywhere else, but Yannis Hilbert, of course, winning the race by quite some margin in the end. Fantastic drive from him. Welcome in, Yannis. Firstly, can you hear us?
Yes, hello, how are you?
It's good stuff. I mean, what a race from you. I mean, you got the pole position, you pulled away from the start. Just tell us how the confidence was, because you didn't really pull that gap out after the first 50 minutes. You didn't really need to, because it was so large already. I mean, just how did you feel in the car tonight?
Yeah, we felt quite good. I did some setup work and it ended up paying off. After the first few laps, I just decided to take it easy, try not to get any off tracks, fuel safe, and try to make like 0 mistakes, which kind of worked. So yeah.
Talk us through that pit stop window, because for yourself and Bobby, we watched you both come in pretty much together. I mean, obviously that wasn't planned, but how much was there communication between you two? Because you both had some superb races.
I didn't talk to Bobby at all. Like we exchanged like 10 DMs and that's it. I saw everyone in front, like 5 GT4s in front, some GT3s in front. I was like, I'm not doing that. I pull into the pits and I just see this beautiful Minecraft live in front of me.
Worked out well for you. And I mean, looking forward in terms of the championship, this is a fantastic position for you to find yourself in. Maximum points here. Firstly, hopefully you're going to be with us at Zandvoort in a couple of weeks' time. And if so, where do you feel like your strengths are going to lie at that circuit, and you're confident going into it?
Oh, I think that's one of the least driven tracks in iRacing, honestly. In officials, you rarely see it. And I've done a race like a few weeks ago on it. It went okay. I think I can do quite well again there. It's a quite nice flowing track, and Red Bull is, I think, similar, so it should be good.
But congratulations again, fantastic drive from you. I don't know, James, if you've got anything to add to ask Yannis, but it was a great drive from him tonight.
Nothing really to add, Dara. Congratulations, Yannis. Welcome to the series. Really fantastic to have you back. Just one, if I've got one question, it's about the team name and the livery. Where's the inspiration come from?
I don't know. I started Minecraft livery like a year ago. I was doing some officials with a friend on the Minecraft livery. Just stuck to it. Daytona 24 we won with the Minecraft livery on, and why not? It's fun. It's all taking it a bit less serious and just enjoying it.
Well, it looks fantastic, mate, and I think based on your performance tonight, you're going to be the Minecraft racing team, with the GlassTech team being over jollying in Spa. I think that you're going to have closed that gap. And yeah, I think there might be Mr. Glass and Mr. Humphrey just having a keen eye on where you and Bobby Moss finish. So congratulations, mate. That's absolutely fantastic race tonight. Before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to live on the broadcast?
Yeah, Johnny Terhar. We practiced together a little bit, even though it's competition. He wasn't very confident with his pace, but then he qualified P2. He was P2 for a long time, then he had some incidents. But still, like, he did a really good job, especially not being so confident. So yeah, he did really, really well.
Very, very good, mate. Very good. Well, look, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and congratulations again, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yep, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks to Yanis. Great to get a word from him after a very successful night for the Minecraft racing team. But it wasn't just him who won a race tonight. James, we also saw a win from the Danish Marius Hibner, and we can grab a word from him now as well. Marius, welcome in. Firstly, can you hear us?
Yes.
Perfect, good stuff. Well, for you, of course, William Humphrey not being here tonight meant that it was a bit more of an open field, and getting the win tonight, absolutely fantastic result. You'll lead the championship coming out of here. I mean, just talk us through the early stages of that race first of all, because you were sat right behind Bobby Moss for quite some time. We're guessing it's a consolidated effort to save a bit of fuel, but what was it like to run in that group of cars for quite some time?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot more fun this race, actually being surrounded by some cars this time. I spent, as you said, the entire race just fuel saving, staying in the slipstream of Bobby, lifting and coasting. Just did that for, I think, 40 minutes. I had more pace than him the entire time. I mean, I could see he was struggling quite a bit as well. I mean, I think halfway through the race, I noticed he was running a little wide. I think he cooked his tires a bit too much, maybe, and I don't think he was fuel saving. And I managed to then gain 6 seconds on the pit stops. And then after that, I don't really know what happened because I somehow just pulled out a 6-second gap. Pulled 6 seconds ahead after the pit stops, which gave me around about a 12-second gap. So I think he must have cooked his tires or put in too little fuel or something. But yeah, very, very happy with that result.
Yeah, fantastic for you, really. Overall, to get that result for the championship, and you're right, yeah, you really pulled out that gap towards the end of the race, but it worked really effectively as well. Looking forward to the races that we've got coming up. 2 weeks' time, we're heading to Zandvoort, and Yanis said that it's not a track that's used very often. I think James echoed that as well at the start of the broadcast. Where do you feel like your strengths are going to lie going into that race? Of course, it's the first 90-minute race of the season as well.
I think Zandvoort is going to be a track that suits me quite a bit. I haven't driven it very much. I've just done a few laps and like test drive, and it's been so far it's really suited me. It's a track I really like. So I think I'm feeling good going into Zandvoort. Obviously, I won't really be going for the win as I did here today because William Humphrey will be back, and I kind of expect he will gap me as usual. But feeling good. I was also feeling good about the tracks coming up after Zandvoort. I mean, looking at the calendar, there's very few tracks left that I don't like, so feeling quite good about the races coming up.
That's exactly what we want to hear. But you're going to be the championship leader, whether Williams going to be here or not. So you've always got that accolade to try and defend if you can. James, I'll chuck it over to you. Marius, a good start to the season for him. 2 second places and a win. Better than what we could do, right?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Congratulations, Marius. Fantastic racing. Hopefully when you watch it back, you'll see that me and Dara were trying to second guess whether you were fuel saving or not, which, yeah, we caught you on the run up to turn 3, easing off early. And we said, yeah, we think he's fuel saving. So absolutely brilliant strategy, mate. Well done. Well done indeed. Just one question from me, really. So when we go to the 90-minute race, we've only got 60% fuel capacity, which looks like it's going to lend itself to a 2-stop. Have you had any thoughts about that, and how do you plan to approach that?
Yeah, I have thought about that quite a lot. I don't know if it's going to be possible to do a 1-stop. Obviously, with the fuel percentage maximum fuel percentage only being 60% and the race being longer. I do think it'll be a 2-stop race, but I will do some testing and see if I can somehow get it to be a 1-stop, and if not, I'll just kind of do the same as I did here tonight. Fuel save as much as I can to try and shorten the final stint a bit. I did the same at Hungary. It worked at Hungary as well. I think I gained about the same amount, 6 seconds by just fuel saving. So it's working very well for me, just fuel saving. I think that's just going to be a lot, even more about fuel saving than it was here tonight.
Well, that's really, really good insight, Marius. So thank you for sharing that with us. It's certainly going to be interesting, especially, I mean, don't tell anybody, but obviously we're going to be putting about 50 kilogram of ballast onto William's car. So we'll just keep that between us. So, but before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to live on the broadcast?
Yes, I'll give a shout out to just all the ESR admins making this league possible, and you guys for commentating, and the stewards and everyone who makes it possible to go racing. And I'll give a shout out to my sponsor, racinggood.com as well.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Marius. After quite a tricky week, as you probably saw in the ESR League, that certainly does mean a lot. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Yep, thank you.
Marius Hidmer there. Great to get a word from him, winning in the GT4 class. And I think, James, we've got time to get one more driver into the booth. And I think getting in P2 man, Anton Kalo, would be a good way to go about it. P2, of course, in that GT3 class, and a really good performance from him. So I'm going to drag him now, and he should be with us. Anton, welcome in. Can you hear us, first of all?
Yes, I can.
Great stuff. Well, your race, a bit of an up and down one. More ups than downs, obviously, finishing in P2, but a little bit more of a difficult qualifying in the pack. Talk us through that early stage of the race, because you really had to fight your way through some cars, and you made some great overtakes in doing so.
Yeah, thank you. Did not have the pace. I tried my best. I qualified realistically 5th. I got a little bit faster during the race, which was nice. But at the start, I mean, I knew that once the GT4 pack, when we catch them, there will be more opportunities for overtakes. So I kind of waited a little bit until then to start battling, and then tried to get as much out of the GT4 overtakes as I could.
And you really did an impressive job in doing that. And then towards the end of the race, of course, having to just kind of hold off for P2. How much were you looking in the mirrors in the last couple of laps just to make sure that you could guarantee the fact that you got yet another good result for your championship?
A lot. I'd say the last maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes or so. Like basically as soon as I passed Jason again from the pits and I saw that he was still behind me. Even though my outlap was, I ran into some GT4, so I thought I would be behind him. When I saw him behind me, I was staring into my mirrors every single straight, every braking zone. I was like staring at my relative because he was quick this week, very, very quick. So I knew like it was a matter of when, not if he was going to catch me. But then luckily with the traffic, of course, it throws a spanner into the works. So it was a different story, and I ended up being able to just barely keep him behind the whole last 10 minutes or so.
But impressively so, to pick up a P2. Final question from me. Quick word on Zandvoort, a couple of weeks' time. 90-minute race. Is there anything you're going to have to change in terms of the strategy going into that one? And is it a track you've driven around much and enjoy?
Not really. Another one of those, I will purchase it tonight and start practicing, just like Hungaroring. I think it'll be a 2-stop, of course, with the smaller fuel tank and the longer race. No clue what to do about tires. I'll have to run lots of practice stints and see what the tire strategy calls for. Yeah, no clue about the strategy yet, but I will do my best.
Well, it sounds like you're going to have a good shot at it regardless, James. It's not the first time I'm speaking to Anton, because he's had some great results so far this season, but it's going to be a bit different at Zandvoort, of course, with that 90-minute race, isn't it?
It is. Don't we all love a bit of modesty, Anton? You know, Mr. Cool, I'm just going to buy the track later and then start practicing. Oh, fantastic. I mean, that was some amazing racing. I think there was you, there was Janny Terhaar, there was Aruma Salinskas, Jason Baxter, Will Soper was in there. Just tell us what those few laps were like, because that seemed absolutely amazing racing from where we were stood.
It was wild. It was like, properly felt like a race car driver during those laps. It was like not really focusing on doing laps or driving, you're just like constantly head on a swivel looking around you. What's the moves? What's the GT4 traffic looking like? Like the fact that there was a pack of about 4 or 5 of us going through the GT4 traffic side by side with each other, like 3 wide in sections. It was incredible. It was so like the most fun racing I've had on iRacing, most likely like to date. It was so cool. Just going for moves, for dives, like defending and trying to use the GT4 traffic as like kind of like a stop to get past someone. It was sick, honestly, brilliant.
Well, congratulations, mate. I mean, it looked amazing on stream. I think me and Dara got ourselves tied up tied up in knots trying to commentate on who was doing what. But yeah, absolutely brilliant, and we look forward to that if there's more to come in the next few rounds of the championship. Before we let you go, Anton, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to live on the broadcast?
Yeah, sure. My family, yet again. Hello, everybody. I know everybody is watching again, so I'm glad I was able to put on a nice show with everybody else. So
Brilliant stuff. Well, have a great couple of weeks and get that track purchased, and we'll see you at Zandvoort in 2 weeks' time.
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Anton. Great to speak to him after another good result, and he'll be looking to bounce back maybe with a win in a couple of weeks' time at Zandvoort. But we look forward to that. But I think
we
point
can
for us to wrap, James. Been a really successful night, isn't it?
I think before we do, Dara, I think that we probably can do maybe 1 or 2 more, because I'm just looking and we've got a couple of drivers waiting. I'd like to get Pedro. I'd like to have a quick word with Pedro Luis da Silva if he's still there. If you want to bring him in and we can have a little chat with him how his race went, because I think that's the first podium for him in the series.
Yeah, it's a good idea, actually. Let's drag Pedro in to get P3 in the GT4. Pedro, welcome in. First, you can hear us.
Yeah, I can. Cheers, guys.
Good
Thank
stuff.
you for the commentating again. I'm looking forward to watching the race because it looked like a fun race.
Yeah, and talk us through it from your perspective, because P3 in the end, you were kind of on the fringes of that podium for so long, but after the pit stop cycle, you were right in the mix. So talk us through it.
Yeah, in the beginning of the race, I saw that Bobby, Marius, and Tristan had very good pace. I was just trying to keep up. At the beginning, I lost a little bit of time, trying to stay on the draft and not lose so much time and trying to fuel save a little bit. It was difficult at the beginning. Then I caught up to Tristan, trying to follow him as closely as I could. Then the GT3 traffic was a little bit difficult to navigate. It's always tricky to manage everything. So I just tried to stay close and feel safe and bring the car home, because Red Bull Ring is a really cool track. Difficult track. It seems looks like it's an easy track, but it really isn't, because with the off tracks and some corners can lead to big mistakes, and just trying to keep it on track.
Yeah, and a really good result from you once again. James, I'm sure Pedro's going to be trying to replicate that in Zandvoort in a couple of weeks' time. We'll see if he can do it.
I hope he is. Good evening, Pedro. Congratulations on your podium. That was absolutely fantastic. And I love the way that you say navigate through the GT3s. It's almost like you decide when to let them pass. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's key, because sometimes the guys are coming really hot, and you really have to decide in split seconds if you just move offline, let them go, or maybe they'll wait for you to take the corner. It's difficult to navigate them, so it's always a tricky situation when some 3 GT3s are battling. It's always tricky to know what to do. So it was really fun. I don't know what happened to Tristan at the end. It was really fast. So I'm not sure what happened. I'm looking forward to watching the stream just to understand what happened to him. So it was, and congratulations to Marius for winning the race. Really great praise from him.
Yeah, we spoke to Marius earlier, and he was telling us that he did an awful lot of fuel saving. Did you do any fuel saving yourself, or was it just kind of pedal to the metal and worry about the fuel at the pit stop?
I did, because I knew that Bobby was in front. Marius was behind, but I thought he had a little bit more pace than Bobby. So I knew the lead of the race was not going as full throttle. And then when I caught up to Tristan, I just decided to feel safe because it's really it looks easy, but it's not that easy to pass in the ring without risking it, or maybe contact or just a little tap on the rear and unsettle the car that you're trying to pass. So I was just trying to feel safe. Maybe shorten my pit stop a little bit to gain some kind of an advantage from Tristan. So that was mainly my strategy, and just keep it on track. No off tracks, no one axis, no slowdowns, and that was basically the strategy for tonight.
Well, so brilliant, mate. Well, that that obviously confirms you've not been to the Andrew Fellows School of iRacing coaching, then. So he won't mind me saying that, I'm sure. But no, brilliant night's racing. We definitely covered a bit more of you on the stream tonight. So before we let you go, is there anybody that you'd like to give a shout out to live on the broadcast?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the guys at Flatline Racing, especially Andrew for taking me in and letting me race this championship with them. So a big thumbs up, and thank you for those guys, and they are really fast guys, and thank you for taking me in and letting me race with them. So thank you a lot.
That's brilliant, mate. That's absolutely brilliant. And Andrew knows I'm only messing. He's an absolute gentleman. And one of these days, Dara is actually going to invite him in for interview before he has to leave for work. So yeah, good luck in 2 weeks' time, and thank you for all your support. You know exactly what I mean throughout this last week. So yeah, have a great couple of weeks, Pedro, and we will catch up with you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Cheers, boys.
Pedro, for joining us. Yeah, no, James, what I will do, what we'll do next time, I'll get Andrew in first, and then it doesn't really matter when he has to go. We can get him in first, then he can leave anyway.
Yeah, but then I'm just gonna tell everybody that you said I'm not interviewing Andrew again.
Hey,
we're only messing. We're only messing.
No, I know.
I think what a night's racing.
Right there, right?
We can. Yeah, what a fantastic night's racing. Slightly down on numbers tonight, which I'm actually grateful for, because it meant that we covered a few more drivers than maybe we would otherwise. So yeah, thank you to everybody that turned up tonight on Easter Sunday. And I guess before we move on, we have to kind of finish with some of the formalities, of course. So if you want to get racing with Evolution Sim Racing, if you've liked what you've seen tonight, we've got a GT3 championship running on Thursday evenings. We are running a waiting list for spaces that come available. We have had one come available earlier today, so that will be going out to the people on the waiting list. That's Thursday evenings with an A split and a B split. We then run the European GT Championship on alternate Sundays. So we do have a couple of team places available here in the Euro GT Championship. We then have the Danny Lee Porsche Cup, which had its first round. That's broadcast over on Apex Racing TV. That will be next Sunday. And I think Danny has one space available. So one final space available in the Danny Lee Porsche Cup. That's not just a normal series. Danny actually spends a fair bit of his own time with his race community in the Discord, sharing setups and hot lap videos and telemetry and track guides, etc. So really lovely guy to be kind of working with. So that's the Danny Lee Porsche Cup, sponsored by GT Omega, on alternate Sunday evenings. And then finally, we have a practice league, which is free to join, which we run every Tuesday evening and every Saturday at 4 p.m. So next round, Dara, we're at Zandvoort. I think we all know it's going to be an interesting round. I think we're going to have a lot of people back. It's going to be full of cars. What are your thoughts as we look towards 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that race in a couple of weeks. It's one that clearly the drivers aren't necessarily as prepared for as they would have been here tonight. And 90 minutes does change around the prospects a little bit as well. So really looking forward to that one. And it's only a couple of weeks away. Cannot wait.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Well, look, thank you very much for joining me again. Couldn't do it without you, that's for sure, while I'm trying to amend things on the right-hand screen while you're kind of working his way through. Thank you for everybody in the chat that's contributed, especially to Joe, who has helped us with our audio levels as we've gone through. And we will be back in 2 weeks' time for Zandvoort. So all that's left for us to say is to have a very nice evening. For those of you that are celebrating Easter, have a very nice Easter, and we will hopefully see you on track or in the chat sometime. Thanks a lot and good evening.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Haller, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.